Hey everyone, this is Adam Mellenboss from Nightlight Astrology. It is a huge week astrologically. We are coming off from a solar eclipse over the weekend, and the sun is immediately moving through an opposition to Neptune, trines to Pluto and Uranus. And oh, by the way, Mars is entering the sign of Scorpio and making a square to Pluto this week. So, a big week. We're going to unpack all of it and take that big 20,000-foot view to start our week today. I'm going to have a few horoscopes for the fixed signs in particular, given that Mars Pluto square is happening in the fixed sign. So, we'll take a look at that. I'll tell you what's on my altar this week, and we will break down the entire sequence again from kind of a big picture standpoint. I'll give you things to watch for and all that good stuff. And then as the week goes on, we'll take a closer look at each of these aspects. Tomorrow, we'll spend more time with the sun. Wednesday, we'll move into the Pluto dynamic. It's all happening in the early part of the week as well. So we're going to try to pack it in here in the first couple of days. Anyway, that is our agenda for today. Before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe. Turn the notification bell on so you get updates. That really helps people know when we've got a new episode or when something new is happening on the channel. I'm going to be doing some lives later this autumn as well, so you'll get to know when those are taking place. We're trying to get to 100,000 subscribers on the channel by next summer. It really does help us if you watch regularly to subscribe and drop a comment, all of that good stuff. Nightlightastrology.com is where you can find everything you need to know about what we're up to lately. A few promotions for the day. The early bird rate on the upcoming retreat is taking place in Mexico in June of 2026. We'll close the first week of October, so you have a little bit of time left to save on our new training program taking place in Mexico in June of 2026. It's called the Oracle Within. If you go to the Oracle Within part of the website, we have less than 30 spots available now. I think there's like 25 spots left or so. If you scroll down, there's a video telling you everything you need to know about the retreat. So check that out. The other thing is coming up this week, I am giving the first of a series of talks on planetary pairings from the ancient astrological and philosophical perspective. This involves understanding planetary pairings as the pairings of what are called the archai, or the first principles that the planets represent philosophically. This is like a very deep series that we're going to be doing over the course of the next year through all of the planets and really getting to know what they are philosophically, which is the root of how all of their symbolic delineations are made. So for practitioners, like middle to advanced students, people who want to understand the combinations of planets in your own chart, this is a series you don't want to miss. So check that out for sure. If you can't attend live, you'll get the recording later, like everything that we do. The other thing I want to turn you on to is our first year course, Ancient Astrology for the Modern Mystic, begins again on November 8th. We have 2 sections per year. This new one starts again here coming up in just a couple of months. The early bird rate is now in effect. At the end of today's talk, there's an informational video tagged on telling you everything you need to know about the program. I will just say this for now. If you like the content that I provide, I will tell you that what I'm actually best at, even though I love creating content on YouTube, what I'm actually best at is teaching astrology, especially if you want to learn about ancient astrology, the ancient philosophical and spiritual roots of the tradition, and all of the ancient techniques that go into reading birth charts. This is really honestly what I'm best at. And what I'm proudest of is the creation of all the curriculum in the Nightlight School. So I hope you'll check it out. Stick around afterward to learn more about it. Come study with us. Don't forget, everything that we do at Nightlight includes flexible pricing. So we have need-based tuition for this program, which means you can pick within a sliding scale a tuition per month to pay that works within your budget. If you're experiencing any kind of financial hardship or you're on a limited income, we want to make sure that astrology, that the coursework is of the highest quality, and also that it's accessible to anyone regardless of their background. Okay, on that note, let's turn our attention to the real-time clock and take a look at what's happening. Like I said, it is a very big week. It's a week in which we're coming off from a solar eclipse. So if I back this up, this is Monday, September 22nd, as you're watching this today, as it's being released. If I back this up just yesterday, you can see on the screen here that we had on Sunday, September 21st, we had that solar eclipse. Oh, the big arrow's out, the big circle. We had a solar eclipse at the very end of Virgo, and that solar eclipse we're now in the wake of. To me, like the entirety of the next few lunation cycles is typically like the ripples coming off from a big stone that's been thrown into a pond. Um, you can feel the changes that are happening. It's like, high tides or whatever. The waves come in sets, different images that all come to my mind with water, I guess. But eclipses are like big wave patterns that come through in our psyches, and they mirror the ebb and flow of those cycles of light and dark that are happening in the cosmos. The eclipses do, and so when we're coming right off from one, whatever's happening in that week following an eclipse is often of much greater significance because it's carrying the impact of the changes symbolized by the eclipse. So, on that note, what I want to show you first is just the overview of what's happening this week. There are really three things happening in a row today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, the 22nd through the 24th of September. Um, it sounds, it might sound on the outset like, oh, it's just 3 days, but these are very significant transits. So let's take a look at them. Today, the sun has entered the sign of Libra. It's our fall equinox in the northern hemisphere. Of course, it's the opposite if you're in the southern, but either way, zodiacally speaking, the sun has entered Libra. It is immediately opposing Neptune. Now, remember, at the time of the eclipse just yesterday, the sun was opposing Saturn. And so, coming off from that opposition to Saturn, which we talked about at length last week when we did our eclipse coverage, we're now looking at the sun opposing Neptune to start this week. That opposition I will go over with you in a minute. The next thing that's happening is after the sun opposes Neptune, tomorrow it will then go through trines to Uranus in Gemini and Pluto in Aquarius. So you'll see that tomorrow, September 23rd, the sun trines Pluto and Uranus. This is a sequence that Mercury went through somewhat recently, that Mars went through back in August. Um, and it's something that's going to happen in a number of different contexts whenever planets are moving into the configuration with all three of the outer planets. We get a planet like Venus going into Leo and opposing Pluto, and then it was simultaneously hitting the trine to Neptune and the sextile to Uranus and so forth. So, because all of these outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, Saturn, have all been configured quite closely together, that means that whenever any planet goes through an aspect with one of them, say an opposition, it's hitting all of them. That makes these little windows of time very potent. The the symbolism of these moments is very loud, especially for the planet that's going through the configuration. So in this case, it's the sun. So if you want to understand a transit like this, you start with the sun. You kind of think of it like the sun is going through a process where it's going to touch into all of these kind of heavier outer planetary archetypes. What will that do for the sun becomes the central theme of importance. Now, as if this isn't enough, the other thing that's happening at the start of this week is Mars is entering the sign of Scorpio. So, Monday, today, you got Mars having just entered Scorpio. And that means that Mars in Scorpio will be applying by the middle of this week, Wednesday, to a square with Pluto. Now, you can see that square perfecting on Wednesday, September 24th. But today, it's, a degree off. So as soon as Mars has entered the sign of Scorpio, it's engaging with the square to Pluto, which means you're sort of in a Plutonian range of activity for the rest of the week. This is why, even though on Wednesday the aspect will perfect, we'll probably still spend some time thinking about it, at least on Thursday. Now, the separation, we give it about 3 degrees. That total range of separation will take us all the way into the weekend. I'd give it all the way until Saturday, September 27th, that the Mars Pluto dynamic is sort of finalizing. So during that period of time, it becomes really important for us from Wednesday through the end of the week to be going through that space with a greater awareness of the aspect dynamic. That's what I hope will prepare you for mostly this week, since that is the biggest transit of the week. I mean, it's a close comparison with the sun going through so much simultaneously and the sun obviously having just been eclipsed. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it's six of one, half dozen of the other, however they say that. Uh, Nonetheless, Mars Pluto squares hit hard. So We want to give that a lot of thought, a lot of attention. So, first of all, let's just think broadly about the sun opposing Neptune. One of the things that the sun is broadly representative of is a sense of purpose and a sense of direction or ambition, aspiration, all perfectly fitting words for the sun. The sun can also represent things like fathers or leaders or central figures of authority, all again, really fitting for the sun. The sun also, broadly speaking, represents the Ade or the eternal forms that are, like in the mind of the universe, the perfect triangle or, the archetype of a human or something like that. And so when the sun goes through transformations in the sky, symbolically speaking, the way that we often experience that is in terms of a shifting sense of purpose. The purpose of the sun is connected to the archetypal realm because any purpose that we have is being informed by an idea. An idea is an image. An idea is an image like the Ade or forms or archetypes. And so the images that we have in our minds as desirable outcomes for the course of our lives and the way that they influence or impact us in different areas of life, we have evolving images that direct the course of life in marriage or relationships or friendships or social life or career or the greater industry professionally, that we belong to. We have direction, purpose, ambition, and a landscape of desires and intentions in all different areas of life, constantly shifting, constantly moving us along. And in this way, the sun was also talked about as the breath of life itself, moving us with a sense of direction and purpose, filling us with inspiration, with the word inspire refers to the spirit within. And the sun was literally called spirit. And so the first thing that I encourage everyone to think about, and we'll be exploring this in more detail tomorrow, but just for an overview today, is to think about the opening of this week, coming off from a solar eclipse that can greatly change or shift life's sense of purpose or direction, specifically in that whole sign house of Virgo, where the eclipse took place yesterday. But then as the week goes on, you could map this across the Libra Aries axis. You could track the trines to the whole sign houses of Gemini and Aquarius, where the trines to Uranus and Pluto are taking place. You could be creative with all of these things if you wanted to. But if all of that feels too complicated, then you can rest back and say, my sense of purpose or direction, ambition, desire, intentionality is changing or shifting in some way. How is the inspiration of my life or some particular area of my life being redirected, or how is some form of guidance taking shape right now? That would be the broadest, most generally, but like effective way of thinking about such transformation for the sun, from an eclipse to the opposition to Neptune to the trines to Uranus and Pluto. I would anticipate that some of the specific things that could come up, and again, we're going to break this down more specifically tomorrow with the sun, could involve things like, uh, what do I live for that gives me a sense of transcendent, imaginative, spiritual, mystical, or romantic purpose? Neptune inspires the sun with longing for something otherworldly or ideal or romantic. Uh, and that could be something that is really refreshing right now, coming off an eclipse where that direction may go through a kind of crisis, a contractive space of dying and being reborn as the face or the light of the sun is being eclipsed. But then immediately, in opposition to Neptune, what's the new, broader sense of my life's purpose? What will be the new inspiration that carries me forward after an eclipsing of light has taken place? After an eclipsing of light, where do I go now? And the immediate feeling with an opposition to Neptune might be confusion or overwhelm, a feeling of being flooded with the eclipsing experience and feeling like you're wandering through the mist or the fog. Nonetheless, it's like Gandalf says, all who wander are not lost. The trines that come through after the separation to Neptune occurs are a big airy grand air trine, right, to Uranus and Pluto. The feeling of new thoughts, new ideas, even new technology. I don't know how that would work in, but it's possible that new thought structures, new paradigms, something new that you want to learn, something new that you're ready to communicate or articulate, new paradigms or thought structures, new creative inspirations, new forms of social collaboration could emerge and provide immediately some new inspiration. So I would watch with the sun opposite Neptune coming off from the eclipse of a feeling of overwhelm, a death, and maybe a bit of a feeling of wandering or uncertainty or cloudedness around your purpose. Again, so close to the eclipse opposite Saturn too, which can be a contractive, heavy space, almost mourning or letting go of something, and then emerging into the light of new possibilities. It's also possible that sometimes a new direction takes shape in our life, and it's like a Joan of Arc moment. We hear a voice, and I don't mean to be so literal about it or grandiose, but that sense of a new dream, a new vision, a calling, a mission, a crusade. As metaphors, I think those are appropriate words for an eclipse of the sun followed by an opposition to Neptune, followed by trines to Uranus and Pluto. It's as though the purpose is to redeem something that's been lost, or recover a new sense of purpose or direction, or follow a yearning or longing. These things play a strong role in the opening sequence of this week coming off the eclipse. So again, we'll break some of these things down more tomorrow. Now, the second thing that I want to talk about today is the other major aspect of the week. And in some ways, I do think this one might even be louder.
The legend is back. You can't fucking flim flam the zim zam. You can't curse the sailor curse. What's up, brother? What's up, my man? How are you, buddy? Yo, the sub. Are you serious? Thanks, man. Dude, I've been so sick. I had a terrible cold the last few days, man.
So much about how to use the planets creatively with your own artfulness, rather than
we gotta make this guy VIP. Yeah, I'm really sick. Let me
as an aside.
What's the fuck is your other one? Sailor Curse Eternal.
The reality of things splitting.
VIP Sailor Curse rides again.
Holes into parts. And that's
yo, buddy. Yeah, it does look the same. But let me show you, man. Let me show you the difference. Let me show you, bro. Let me show you this fucking place, dude. I'm gonna give you an apartment tour.
Splitting or cutting as a process that is considered divine in many ancient traditions has to do with the gradual individuation of the soul, the deepening of the soul's unique character and its own unique light, that for us to become fully realized in the ancient spiritual imagination of many different traditions, we have to individuate spiritually. It means we're becoming more unique, which by definition means we are cutting ourselves away from different images or shapes that have been held out for us as different templates, but we have to say no to, we have to sever or cut ourselves from. For example, while Uranus, who is another planet that has a lot in common with Mars in terms of
One sec.
for cutting and separating things.
We're doing pretty well for the first fucking stream at this new place. One sec.
Almost like prior to the advent of the outer planets and the discovery of Uranus, in many ways the planet of rebellion and emancipation and cutting yourself away from dependencies for the sake of individuation.
So it's raining today, so the view isn't that good, but let me show you.
One of my biggest Uranus involved saying, oh, I can't be part of a
this place, dude.
Which I had taken initiation.
Let me show you, my man. It's fucking amazing. Where's
but then there was this moment where it's like, no, I've got to
and where is
from that.
the video.
So it's important that we think about Mars
Oh my
as
god.
a cutting or severing or separating process that can
YouTube, where are you?
facilitate individual definition and individual growth or separation from various categories that we come to recognize are not us. They're not. It's not individually unique enough. So anytime that Mars hits Pluto, one of the things that tends to happen is very powerful moments of individualizing catharsis take place. They can feel very empowering, but also, as we all know, many moments of individuating happen through crisis and confrontation and power struggles and having to take strong actions to define ourselves as a part. I'm not you, I'm not this, I'm not that. Both Mars and Saturn have in common the principle of negation, but they negate or say no or cut away from in different ways, different kinds of cutting almost. Not surprisingly, Mars is the ruler of squares in aspect theory. Anytime that two planets get into a square, it is as though the two planets
Probably can't see shit because it's a rainy day and I'm still trying to figure out how to fucking... Wow, yeah, buddy, dude. The ocean is right there, man. Let me try to bring the laptop closer. This is my first stream here in the new place, so... Bro. Yeah, there's shit on the ground because it's leaking a little bit, but that's gonna be fixed in the next few days. I'm on the 7th floor.
You felt better for doing it. And in time, hopefully the other person understood, hey, this is just what they had to do. That's ideally how it happens, but we know it's not that simple. Mars Pluto can engage us in titanic clashes of will and power. No, you do this. No, I'm going to do this. No, I don't want you to do that. If you do that, I won't do this. Or, you know, so the way that we try to leverage one another, I need you to be this or give me this. I need you to act this way or behave this way. Otherwise, I'm cutting you out, or I'm going to judge you to be this kind of person. These kinds of conflicts of will, they can become quite ideological in nature when Mars is squaring a Pluto that is in the sign of Aquarius as well, which has this very vast kind of what do I want to call it? Like almost like a vast, airy, ideological quality. There's all of the air signs can be very mental, but Aquarius in particular tends to bring up issues that have to do with.
So the ocean's right there.
Like
so there's a path
people or
that goes right there to the ocean, and there's like a gate there.
And things that are
it's amazing,
large
dude.
and collective and are like containers for identity
Yeah, let me
categories
bring
that
it
bring
closer.
us together in
I'm gonna
much
bring this shit closer. This
larger
shit's really
ways.
pissing me off.
The downside of Aquarius, and often the dark side of Aquarius, is the way in which the vaster and bigger the qualities of these containers, the more impersonal they are, and the more they tend to actually negate individuality. And so we can get into group think, group mind, and we can get brainwashed by ideologies connected to groups and so forth, whether it's religions or companies or corporations or technologies or
my extension cords are arriving.
So there's this constant thing in Aquarius
today or tomorrow. So that's why I'm doing all this fucking pain in the ass shit right now. But later we'll be
identifying as groups of people, and groups go through processes of individuation. Groups become more uniquely themselves, so they become more uniquely whatever they're meant to be on an evolutionary level. And then there are times when groups have to face internal schisms and splits.
Sorry, one sec. Congrats, yo, thanks, brother.
I think that
thank you, man.
One way of, I'm not alone in suggesting that, you know, we're seeing this.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I gotta fix the fucking camera again. Do you get fresh ocean air? Yeah, buddy. Yeah, dude. No, there's no smog here. It's fucking really nice. What am I doing here? USB cam.
Pluto goes into a sign like Aquarius, and some of those things can become
here we go.
Amplified in terms of their
here we go
in a given space of history. So when Mars in Scorpio hits the square to Pluto and Aquarius, we can also think about individuating patterns happening between unique individual characteristics and how they do or don't fit into larger group identifiers, containers, or ideologies. And we can also think about collectives and groups themselves going through meaningful periods of individuating as a group. Either would be appropriate for this combination. Mars in Scorpio in confronting Pluto in Aquarius is also a bit like looking at some of the underlying emotional and psychological dynamics that take place that can't just be rationalized away.
Yeah, man.
know,
It's like
so-
right there.
Classic example of this, in parenting that I run into. I'm sure all of you parents out there are going to resonate with this. Your kid will go through a phase, and my older daughter is doing this right now, where she'll have
So I do L sits,
big
right?
outburst of,
I do L
frustration
sits
or
here,
anger or
like looking
something,
at the ocean. It's fucking
and
insane.
then she will try
Like, it's
to
amazing.
rationalize it. Well, this
It's the
is
best.
why it's okay for
Okay.
you to feel this way.
We are going to set up
And
everything
we're
back to
trying
where it
do
was.
is
Thank you,
say
man.
it's okay to have big feelings.
Thank you, brother.
Like
Yeah, let me
allowing for the
fucking
space
fix
of
all this
feelings
shit
to
now.
be there, and we don't need to try to let's have the feelings, and then let's be very careful not to try to justify them intellectually, because that might sound weird, because there's often a real there's a lot of reasons that we have for being angry or being excited or whatever. But we have to be very careful with this combination brings it up in particular, which is that we don't have to justify having feelings. We don't.
Yeah, buddy.
And
All right, give me a sec. I'm gonna have to
when we
reset up
have
everything.
really, really intense feelings, it can be very helpful to look eventually, maybe after you just let yourself have the feelings, look very carefully at where they're coming from, and to be careful of the trap of
Yo, thanks for the
self-righteousness.
sub, man. Thank you, brother. How many months is that now? Oh yeah, we don't know because your other account got fucking nuked or whatever.
But I had all the
Don't
reasons in
know.
the world to be that way. It's like all the reasons in the world.
Thanks for the
don't
sub, though,
give
man.
us a reason to be a jerk, right? So, how can we honor and acknowledge a rational component and a very intense emotional component?
Holy
without
fuck, this
one
thing fucking
or the
forever.
other, co-opting, if that makes sense. Our emotions can co-opt our mind, or our mind can co-opt our emotions to make very powerful or dramatic reactionary things happen. And I think we have to be very careful of that interaction this week, for sure. I hope that made enough sense. I felt a little discombobulated trying to explain it. The other thing that I would look for would be when there's Mars in Scorpio has such a love of penetrating into the unseen, subtle, hidden dynamics. Let's go deeper. Let's investigate. I think of Mars in Scorpio as an investigative journalist or a detective, or investigating a crime scene in one of those TV shows, looking, it's ooh, if the forensic evidence leads you to this thing that because you had the eye to see it, you could put the whole puzzle together.
Holy fuck, that took so fucking
So I
long.
also wonder this.
That took way too fucking long. Sorry, one sec.
Breakthrough intellectually. I can really understand something. I've come to see a bigger picture because I probed and went deeper and was willing to look beneath the surface a little bit more. That's also very Mars and Scorpio meets Aquarius kind of thing.
Holy jeez, dude.
Anyhow, so that is a little bit of what to watch for Mars Pluto. Also, just it's a very cathartic, intense kind of confrontational energy.
What a view! Thanks, that's so cool. Thanks, man.
Especially
Thank you, buddy.
in this eclipse.
Word, thanks for sharing that. Yo, thank you, man.
And we've
For being here at 1 a.m. or whatever.
around eclipses, it's as though the interplay of light and dark cosmically just gets sort of heightened or amplified. I wonder a little bit about there being more public collective events that are expressive of these kinds of things this week in particular. These are the kinds of transits that tend to coincide with the death of a famous person, or the death of a leader, or the transition of leadership, or people who have central figures of authority or fame in the spotlight going through some kind of ordeal or crisis. Wouldn't be surprising this week with the Sun going through the opposition to Neptune, or
Thank you, man. How are you, buddy?
going through the square to Pluto. And
Fuck, man, I died laughing at your fucking new YouTube video. Oh my god. I was watching, I'm like, what is this even?
taken advantage of by
And then halfway through,
cycles of outrage and
I
reaction.
saw the fucking,
I don't think there's anything wrong with having reactions to
I saw the plot twist.
or even to having strong feelings about them.
I saw the plot twist happen.
Be careful of the ways in which collective events around these kinds of things.
That's fucking hilarious, man.
I believe this. I don't say a whole lot of things about the greater political or sociological realities on my channel, and I kind of pick my spots. But I will say that I believe that a lot of the way that social media works and the algorithms that govern a lot of the platforms that we use take advantage of cycles of outrage or just rage and anger and controversy, and they take advantage of
All right, let's set up. We're getting set up.
us into having
We're getting set up. We're getting there.
impulsive emotional reactions.
We're getting there. We're getting there. Here we go.
It's a good week to guard your
Here we go. We're getting there. We're getting there slowly. This is the way.
put your head in the sand or
Just fucking trial and error is the way.
be moved, because that seems unhuman. But yeah, guard your serenity a little bit with things happening in the collective. Okay, well, anyway, I have said enough about all of the things. So I'm gonna just give you some
AI tool is powerful. It's amazing.
let me show you.
Just don't drop anchor. Wow.
We are
It's learned your Sea of Thieves comment.
isolate for the fixed signs the Mars-Pluto square. I'll be doing horoscopes later in the week for everybody, so don't you worry. Sorry. If you're a Taurus rising, we'll start with the first fixed sign. You got Mars-Pluto squaring from the 7th to the 10th. The encounter of these two planets between the house of interpersonal relationships, marriage, and career, or the public domain or sphere of life. So you're going to watch for, I would say, social professional dynamics interpersonally, and also the potential for maybe I mean, if I think about that individuating impulse, it's like, how are you learning, growing, individuating relationally and professionally? Now, if I move this forward to the next fixed sign of Leo, we've got the Mars-Pluto square coming through, and I'll just, let me back this up to Wednesday. So here it is, it's Wednesday on the 24th. So that square is happening between the space of home and family on the one hand, and interpersonal relationships, marriage, partnership on the other. So how is that process of individualizing happening through the encounters taking place between the realm of home and family and lover relationships, or even interpersonal dynamics? So that's how I would look at it for Leos. Now we'll move, whoops, I'm going forward days. Let's get back here. We'll move forward to the next fixed sign. And the next fixed sign is Scorpio. So here Mars is in your first, the place of identity, character, behavior, psychology, body, and health. And the fourth house, which is the place of home, family, roots, parents, ancestral karma. So how is that strong, individualizing, cathartic force between Mars and Pluto expressing itself within you as a person, within your own character, within your own attitudes and behaviors, also in dialogue with, or in a kind of tense encounter with, home, family, roots, the private or inner sphere of life? So identity and family, big for Scorpios. Now, finally, Aquarius, we see Mars in the 10th house of career meeting Pluto in the first house of identity. So we're now talking about continued ongoing moments of transformation for all Aquarians that have been taking place since Pluto entered your first house, but in a moment of a kind of a cute little meeting with Mars in your 10th house of career, or your public facing life, work environment, things happening in work related to this ongoing evolution of identity, body, health that's taking place in the first house. So those are the quick fixed sign horoscopes for you. And like I said, we'll do some more later in the week for everyone. On Mondays, as you guys know, I like to just get the horoscope for the big transit of the week for whatever rising signs are going to hit the angular, whatever transit is going to hit the angular signs. The angular houses. Sorry, I can't talk today. All right, I'm going to show you what's on my altar to close. Okay, let me shift my camera. Here we go. Okay, so on my altar this week, you can see that I have a little goddess statue. This is actually a replica of an ancient goddess statue from I think it's like even like Neolithic times, or I can't remember, but it's very old, and it's one of the original sort of earthen goddess carvings. Um, and I have it there this week because I'm coming off from the solar eclipse in the fifth house of pregnancy and children. I've just been thinking a lot about a number of women in my extended family, cousins, who are pregnant right now. And also, very soon, one of our cousins will be having a baby. And although we're not having one, I'm thinking a lot about the last cycle of these eclipses in my fifth house, which coincided with the birth of my daughter. So becoming a parent happened for me, and I've been thinking about a lot of mamas, um, and also um, just the in general. I'm not gonna hesitate to say this. I think that it would be great if there was more of the maternal wisdom present in the leadership of our world, our society. I don't idealize, any one gender or type of person because I think we're all human, so I don't mean to be overly simplistic, but it to me, like when I honestly think about a lot of women in my life that have made a big difference, that in very like highly intelligent women who also carry a maternal wisdom, a great goddess mother kind of wisdom. I just think I wish there was more of that leading and directing. I don't know, policy, law, stuff like that. Uh, there is some of it. I'm not saying there isn't, but sometimes I pray that there's more. As a Cancer sun, you know, I like to. I often reflect on the fact that some of the wisdom that's made the biggest impact on my own life. I mean, certainly there's like a masculine vein of insight and wisdom that I feel very strongly in myself that I've allowed to flourish actually in the last 4 or 5 years of really like allowing myself to get into bodybuilding and things like that. But as a Cancer son, born on the same day as my grandmother, who had I think, a real Cancerian kind of wisdom. Um, and I, as much as I love my grandfather, I sometimes saw her wisdom. Her dimmer switch was always down, and his tended to be up. He was a Leo. She was a Cancer. Um, and sometimes I think it needs to be the opposite, is what I'm trying to say. And some of the best wisdom that I feel I have in me feels very feminine. It feels very Cancerian. And I mean the feminine in an archetypal sense, because I think men, women, people who don't necessarily identify in in any like normative ways can still know exactly what I'm talking about. So that caring, sensitive, nurturing quality. My prayer this week is there be more of it in the world, and also blessings for some of our family members who have recently gotten pregnant or are about to have a baby. And another client of mine who's a close friend over many years, like a close spiritual type of friend whose wife is about to have a baby. So I've just been on my mind lately. Okay, well, anyway, I will leave it there. I hope you're having a good day today, good start to your week. Stick around after I sign off. You can learn more about the upcoming Year One program. You will absolutely love studying at Nightlight. I have put all of my heart and soul into these programs. And if you like this content, I guarantee you will like the classes even more. So hope to see you there. All right, bye. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around. I'm excited to tell you about our upcoming program, Ancient Astrology for the Modern Mystic. This is our first year course in Hellenistic astrology, and it begins again this November. In this video, I'm going to tell you about the course, the format of the course, and how to register. So let's go ahead and get into it. What is this course about? Well, if you are not familiar, ancient Hellenistic astrology is the earliest and original form of horoscopic astrology. All of the subsequent forms and schools of astrology that have existed over thousands of years come from these philosophical and theoretical roots. And so, what you're doing when you study Hellenistic astrology is you're going back to understand the why behind absolutely everything. Why were there ever such a thing as houses and signs in the first place? How were the planets ever assigned to rule various portions of the zodiac in the first place? How do you use the categories of essential dignity, and why were they ever created in the first place? If you're someone like me, you like to know the why behind things, because once you understand the why, then you know how to use things more intuitively. So, really, the point of Hellenistic astrology, in my opinion, is not so much about going back and becoming a traditional astrologer or just being traditional for the sake of being traditional, as much as it is about grasping the roots of the entire system and paradigm. When you understand those roots, you have more intuition and understanding, which allow for you to be much more artful and fluid in the way that you speak the language of astrology. Uh, we call this class Ancient Astrology for the Modern Mystic because while it is about going back to understand the philosophical, theoretical, technical roots of the tradition, it's also about fluidly bridging those things with modern astrology and all of its most unique contributions. For example, modern astrology has given us so much psychological depth and personal depth. And so, in a modern astrological setting, you're going to get the ability to explore your own character, your own psychology, and you're going to be able to utilize astrology for a process of healing and personal transformation. But when you pair that with ancient astrology and it's almost like predictive karmic analytics, you really have a full toolkit to work with. And so that's also a great mission of ours at Nightlight, is to bridge ancient and modern forms, which is why we call the program Ancient Astrology for the Modern Mystic. So that's just a little kind of overview of the program. If you want to know more about the specifics of the curriculum and of the syllabus, what I encourage you to do is go over to nightlightastrology.com, click on the courses page, go to the first year course, scroll down, and you'll see this over 12 months you'll learn about. And here you're going to see more of a detailed breakdown of the curriculum itself. I can promise you that if you've studied astrology in modern context, but you've never gone back to the ancient roots, while some of these topics may look familiar to you and you go, oh, I've already learned about that, unless you've studied them from the Hellenistic perspective, I guarantee that you are not going to be familiar with this content. Hellenistic astrology is mind-blowingly new and interesting for most people. And if you've never studied it, again, don't assume that anything on this list is something you're going to be familiar with. In that way, the program is really ideal for a variety of different people, and I'll say more about that in a second. So, what is the format of the course? Let's go to that next. Scroll down, and you're going to see that the course includes 30 online webinars that I lead throughout the year. Over the course of a year together, I have 30 classes that are broken into different units of material. In between those classes, we have breakout study sessions with your course director and 2 TAs. They're going to lead you through Q&A sessions and tutoring sessions to make sure that you have a lot of support in between major units of study. In addition, we also have an interactive group forum discussion where you can ask questions year round and get an answer within a business day in the student forum, where a lot of people also connect and build community. Lots of people in that forum also develop like little meetup groups outside of class. That's very common in all of our programs. It's a very community space where anyone's also welcome. Throughout the course, you're also going to find that for every lesson, if you're just there as a hobby student, you can just listen to the webinars. They're all recorded for you. So if you can't make the live webinars, everything is housed on the website as recordings. I'd say about 40 or 50% of our students are going to be following along at their own pace, whereas the other half might be attending the live webinars. But it's really kind of, if you can attend a few and then one week you got to be gone, the recordings are always there. You have lifetime access to everything in the course, so it's not a big deal. For every lesson as well, if you're someone who wants to go really, really deep, maybe you have the intention to practice professionally, this course is set up with an optional certification exam at the end from our school, from our program. So you can, if you want to build that resume and develop the credentials from our programs, you can do that, but it's optional, so you don't have to. And outside of every lesson, we have recommended
In these anti-racism classes, my ass will attempt to penetrate your ass's mind.
Thank God you said mind.
Should my ass find any memories that reveals your ass to be a racist, we'll be sending your ass to Azkaban prison, you feel me? Now, any questions your ass want to ask?
I do have one, actually. How is it that you can evidently pronounce arse correctly, but you're incapable of pronouncing ask, which is basically the same word, but with a curse sound at the end?
Another word that ends in cuz, motherfucker, protego your ass.
Time to set up my 4chan account. I wonder if it still counts as racist if no one's around to hear me say it. Wow, and these don't even list the per capita numbers.
Stop it. Shit, Pala. Next time I'm gonna see your ass combing your hair and growing yourself a yee-yee-ass mustache.
We've been at it for 10 seconds. If I could just rest.
Racism don't rest, Potter, so we can't neither. Now sit your ass down. Protect
Okay, go.
I'll have 2 number 9s and number 9 large. Now that is some tasty fried chicken. Hey, cuz, this time, would it be possible to get the fried chicken put inside of the watermelon?
Sir, that's the 4th time you've asked us that today. I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to leave the premises.
That shit.
I'm sorry, sir. I...
Get your ass out of here, boy. And then he called me the N-word and he left.
I'm terribly sorry, Severus. That sounds like quite the ordeal.
Damn straight. I'm gonna need some reparations over this shit.
Perhaps we can order some fast food to help ameliorate the situation.
Ameliorate? I never heard of that spell.
I simply mean to cheer you up.
Ah, I see.
Some burgers, perhaps? Some pizza?
Pizza? Why can't a nigga you take me for? Expecto Patron.
Chicken.
You know what, guys? This isn't fair. I can't call Joe any slurs, yet he gets to slur his way through this entire battle.
My speech is more clear than your gender. Robin had to quit smoking pot because she would frequently forget what gender she was.
The only person who has ever fucked Joe is God.
Good point. Some say Robin belongs in the men's room, some say the women's room. I just want her to stop crying in the handicap stall. When I was 10 years old, the state took me away from my mother. I haven't seen her in 21 years. So, like Robin, both our mothers want their sons back.
With 10 minutes to spare, and we had to plan our escape route to survey the land. His building is actually right here, right above the stairs that we're going to attack him at. We made sure we got there at 2 a.m. sharp.
On the dot.
On the dot. We had no phones because he did not want us to bring any phones. He said, so we don't lose them. I don't know if that's really the reason. That's him. Is that him?
That's that neck.
It's that neck.
Get that neck.
Oh, he's moving fast. Come on, let's get him.
Get that neck.
Let's get him. As we crossed the street, we said, hey, to get his attention.
Hey, Nick.
Hey! He turned around, looked at us, and that's when we started yelling the famous slurs he wanted us to yell. Hey!
Aren't you that Empire?
Hey, Empire fat Nick. It's MAGA country.
Yeah.
And then he said, what did you say to me? And then that's when I threw the first punch at him. And then I threw him to the ground. And after I threw him to the ground, he had no bruise. I wanted it to look more real. So then I threw him to the ground. After I threw him to the ground, I used my knuckle and gave him a noogie. So I went like this. Why did I do that? To give him a scar, to give him a mark, to make it look real, like he really did get his ass beat.
Hey, are you crazy? You're fucking fine. You are fucking you bloody bastard, bitch. You bloody fuck you, bloody fucking mother, bloody fuck bitch. You fuck you, fucking bloody bastard. Venture bloody. Venture you bloody. but why?
Bloody no!
Why?
Bloody fucking!
Accident, then what we wanna
Why you fuck me? I fuck you, bloody! Bloody bastard! Fucking running like lady. Racism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, xenophobia, anti-Semitism.
This is the kind of shit I like, baby. This is the kind of shit I want.
Dude, I'm not gay! I'm a man! What the hell? I'm a man that loves women. I'm straight as fuck.
You keep calling this the Chinese virus. There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate.
Deliver raw milk to the Black African Coalition. In the migrant camp, use the access tunnels for entry.
Foreign overweight worker.
Hey, white boy. This is our country now.
Obese cuckold fetishist.
Hey, you can't be back here. Sorry, man. Jewish tunnel policy. You need to leave.
Jungle animals.
What the fuck is you looking at, huh? Crack.
Jewish woman activating wall protection.
Are you the janitor?
Migrant porn addict.
I just shit over the floor back here.
CC
propagandist.
Mission accomplished. Good job, droid.
Why do we bring that in the kitchen? I thought it needed to be in the center of the house.
First we do it here, then. Okay.
I just don't understand why there's cow manure in the kitchen, to be honest.
Cow is considered God.
Yeah, but it's poop on the kitchen table.
It has some antimicrobial properties. So this is why it is used to purify the things.
What the? I try to be very respectful of their customs, their culture, and everything like that. But I draw the line, I draw my boundaries at this, right here. This is disgusting.
मम्मा हर गेट पे गोमूत्र का छिड़काव कर दो
हाँ जरा जस कर दो हाँ कर दे शुद्धि हो जाएगी थोड़ी सी है ना उससे
I'm just pouring few drops of cow urine.
Why?
A few drops, just few drops.
Why?
I told you that it has some antimicrobial properties. This is why it is used. Okay.
I don't want my house to smell like a petting zoo.
It will go away. It will go away.
It really smells like cow poop in the house now. I don't understand.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Tim Dillon Show. Let's address it out of the gate. Let's talk about the biggest free speech issue right now in the world. Let's tackle it head on. Everyone is talking about it. Everyone wants to know what it means. I was fired from the Riyadh Comedy Festival. It is the most important free speech news. Everybody has a take. Everyone has an opinion. It's inescapable. Go to a lunch, it comes up. You're at a christening. You think you're safe, you're not. Did you hear? Comedian, podcaster, Tim Dillon fired from Saudi Arabia's first comedy festival. Shocking developments. What does it mean? What does it mean? I'll tell you how it went down, and then we'll address that thing at ABC with Kimmel. I also heard there's an issue there. But my agent called me and told me, first of all, I'll lay out the whole thing. I was supposed to perform in Dubai. I mixed up Dubai and I said Abu Dhabi. Apparently, this is a big deal over there. This is like a real problem. My agent called me and he goes, you said on Joe Rogan that you were performing in Abu Dhabi and you're actually performing in Dubai. They're cities and they have a rivalry. And I go, dude, who gives a fuck? What do I stop? I made a mistake. This is not a malicious slander. It's a mistake. He goes, well, they're very angry and they sent an email that you need to be controlled. I said, well, good luck. Whatever. I don't have to do it. I don't care. And then he called me a few days later and I thought he was going to talk about the Kimmel thing. But he called me and he said, they heard what you said about them having slaves. And I said, I was being positive about it. I was defending them. He goes, well, I know that. I know you were defending them. I said, I was defending them for having slaves. I literally said, slaves are probably hard workers and for the most part, agreeable. But they didn't like that. You can literally support somebody too much. I've learned this. You can actually, by the way, in life, this happens. Too many compliments, too much support, and then they turn on you. I was saying that slaves were proud of some of the buildings they built. That's what I was saying. I was saying that if I was a slave, not that I want to be, if I was a slave, and I built a really nice thing, I might say to my slave children, Daddy built that. That's what I was saying, that I would have said, hey, Daddy built that. When my slave children said, ooh, look at that, I'd say, Daddy built that. I was going that angle. Apparently, this got to the people in Saudi Arabia, and they were unhappy about it. They're huge fans of comedy over there. Now, I am very clear about the way I will do a gig. If I accept a gig, I am not going to break the rules of the gig. Meaning, Amish people call me. They go, Tim, we're going to pay you a lot of money. We want you to perform in the Amish, Pennsylvania Dutch country. But we're Amish. So we don't want to hear about iPhones. Or Kalshi, which they should hear about. It's phenomenal, this Kalshi. We'll get to it later. But if that was a rule, I would respect it while I'm there, while I'm in Pennsylvania Dutch country, eating shoe-fly pie, respecting their culture. You have a culture. You've got Sharia law. Would I like Sharia law? No, I don't want it. Actually, I don't want it. I'm good. But you have it. So it's not like I have bits in my act about the prophet anyway. So I certainly wasn't going to show up in your country and insult the people that are paying me the money. One, it's illegal. So I wasn't really planning to go to a Saudi jail. But on my own show, in my own country, where I have the freedom to speak and say the things I want, I'm going to be funny and I'm going to be who I am. And if you're not buying that, you don't have the right to tell me on my own show. People were coming up to me saying, why would you go to that country? They have slaves. In Tribeca, they're assaulting me, these people. I'm just leaving a lunch and they're coming out. They have slaves, they say. And of course, I addressed it in a funny way and they fired me. And then they told me, they go, my agent, they all call me. You don't have to talk about this, they say. Don't talk about it. Remember when you talked about Joker? I said, what? They go, it hurts you to talk about these things. In what? In what is even left, you bums? The only thing left is what I'm doing. Nobody, what? What are you talking about? So, and what I mean by that is like, there's the business doesn't have any teeth anymore. They can't tell me what to do or say. They're not even offering anything. They're not even offering anything. We don't want people thinking you're a problem. But they already, how do they not think that? How could they not think that? A Google of me and a read a 60-second scroll. You buy me, you buy what I'm going to do. Joker was a bad movie. Why would I lie and say it's good? Everyone thought it was bad in the world. Okay? Every article that came out was like, hey, this thing sucks. What was I supposed to do? By the way, I was in it for a second and I made no money. What loyalty am I supposed to have? And the director was mean to me. So I'm supposed to go out there and talk about how great it is. Well, you're actually just misunderstanding the movie. It's actually really good. The Joker doing dance numbers is good. It's good that it doesn't have a plot. It's actually good. It doesn't work. Who the fuck wants to watch that? You know? So they were like, well, you don't have to tell people that you're not going because, we don't want people thinking you're that person that gets fired. Yeah, whatever, think it. What do I give a fuck? I mean, what? Who cares? I'm going to get fired again. I'm going to get fired again from people that are not even Saudis. I'm going to get fired by people who don't chop hands off. I'm going to get fired by reasonable people. I'm going to get fired by people that don't practice Sharia law. I will be fired by many races and religions. I'm going to be fired by others. This is the most controversial the people who fire me will ever be. Let me relish in this. Let's take this win. The future people that fire me will be good mothers and fathers, family people who probably fire me for a completely rational reason. I just rolled out of bed and I just decided to do something they didn't like, and that's completely fine. It is what it is. This is the first time I've been fired by people that actually do really bad things. So let's take this win. Let's take this win. I'm now with Iran. Iran's against them. I'm with Iran now. You've pushed me into the bosom of Iran. Do you understand that? I'm going to Tehran to do their comedy festival. I don't care. I'm being pushed into the arms of Iran. Those types of Muslims. What are those ones called? Shia. I'm Shia now. I was going to be Sunni. I think Saudi is Sunni and Iran is Shia. Right? Yes? Maybe? I'm Shia now. Shiite? Right?
Shia.
That's what I am now because you've done this to me. You fired me and created a Shia problem. I'm a Shiite problem now, biatch. So cares? By the way, I get to keep, my agent knows this. He knows often if you represent me, you're going to get calls that people are unhappy. He just thought it would be like the usual suspects, the people around this town, this dispiriting dump called Los Angeles. He thought it was going to be those people at the, whatever, the Riviera Country Club calling me going, we don't really, this guy's like, what is he doing? Why did he have Candace so-and-so? Why does he open his mouth? What's wrong with him? Why is he dressed up like a Muslim, then a Jew? What's going on? I don't get it. That's the normal calls. He didn't think he was going to get a call from the Middle East. He didn't think I was going to get fired by a theocracy in the Middle East. Neither did I, but I'm with Iran now. That's what happens. This is geopolitics. Do you understand? This is why the Middle East is so effed up. Because there's no fucking unity. There's no goddamn unity. That's all. So I will be with Iran. I don't know what to tell everyone. Now let's talk about Jimmy Kimmel, which, by the way, I think is much less interesting than what happened to me. But as usual, it's dominated the headlines. Jimmy Kimmel, I don't know Jimmy. I've never met Jimmy. I don't watch his show. My friends know him and really, really like him as a guy. He's like less annoying in real life than he is on television. This is what I hear from people whom I trust. I think Jimmy was a funny guy. I don't watch what he does now. It's very political. It's very like kind of annoying to most people. Even to people that are in the middle, it's annoying. To people that are apolitical, it's annoying. It's way over the top. Colbert, him, everybody went way over the top. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. He should still be on the air, and I'll get to why. But setting the stage here, they all went way over the top. Johnny Carson said years ago, I'm not political. I'm here to put Americans to bed. These guys went fully the other way. They alienated half the country. It's their right, by the way. It's their right. Is it a great business move? Probably not. Probably not. If you opened a pizzeria, you wouldn't call it like, fuck Trump pizza unless it was like in Portland or something. If you're trying to appeal to a demographic of people that is of many political stripes, but they're not. They've given up on that. That's fine. That's their right. It's their right to politicize their show to a point where it's unwatchable. And by the way, that's anyone's right. Okay? I'm going to play the joke he made. It's a weird joke, and it's a not factually correct thing, but here's why I'm going to not only defend it, but I think it is ridiculous to pull this guy off the air. I think it's ridiculous to pretend it was about money. I think it's ridiculous to pretend that it's not a political hit job. It's a political hit job, and we know it. Was ABC, is it the cash cow it was 10, 20 years ago? Absolutely not. We know late night TV is dying. We know all of that. That's not why this show got yanked. And pretending it is an insult to people's intelligence, okay? It's an insult to people's intelligence. This was a hit, politically motivated hit job, okay? It's something that most people who talk for a living should care about. If you talk for a living, if you're making money, entertaining people, informing people, whatever it is you think you're doing out there, anybody who's doing that should care a little bit about this. Let's watch his joke, and then let's talk about the fallout.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half staff, which got some criticism. But on a human level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House, which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the fourth stage of grief, construction. Demolition, construction.
So here's the thing. not a bad, it's a fun joke. The setup to the joke where it's like they're doing everything they can to pretend this guy's not a MAGA guy. Nobody thought this guy was a MAGA guy. People thought he was a far-right internet kid or a far-left internet kid. No one thought he was like a card-carrying member of the MAGA group. So he's presenting the premise is false, whatever. Highlighting Trump's absurd reaction when asked about Charlie Kirk, you start talking about a ballroom. Dude, I mean, it's the president's own words. And then he does, joke about he's at the 5th stage of grief, 4th stage of grief, construction, whatever. It's kind of, now listen, it's being done in a climate that's very charged emotionally. A guy got shot in the face. His wife and kid will watch that for the rest of their life, his wife and children. The reactions to it, some of them were abhorrent. Some of the reactions to that were, including some of the mainstream media obits, were wild. Scoring political points on the guy with a hole in his neck. It's insane. And it's radicalized a lot of people. And I'm not saying that was everybody's reaction, but there were people that reacted in a way. Now, by the way, again, I'll say it again. I dressed up like a dead healthcare CEO and satirized how people feel when someone divisive dies. I'm not against people doing comedy, dark comedy, black comedy, whatever you want to call it. I think that the reactions to the Kirk thing were people that were rationalizing, not in a satirical way, but in a very genuine way, rationalizing this guy getting shot, rationalizing him being killed, going, this is good, more of this, we need this, okay? And if you're on that side where you believe people that you don't like should just get shot in the face, hey, what am I going to do? But it's abhorrent to many people. It's not a bit. It's not a joke. There is a difference between a guy that's denying life-saving treatment to people who's a healthcare CEO and a guy sitting on college campuses debating kids. I don't care what you think about his views. There is a substantive difference between those two people. And I wasn't for the healthcare guy getting shot in the head. I'm not for random people getting shot in the head. I'd gladly pay higher taxes if people got healthcare. They never seem to. Taxes go up and they never seem to get that. But there is a substantive difference. And the idea that, like, people watched this whole thing and some of the reactions were so beyond the pale, it's going to be hard to get those people to care about what's happening to Kimmel. It is. Folks, I'll tell you right now, you got to get healthier. About Lucy, 100% pure nicotine, always tobacco-free. Lucy breakers are nicotine pouches with an extra surprise. Each pouch holds a capsule that can be broken up to release extra flavor and hydration. Set yourself up with a subscription and have Lucy delivered straight to your door. God, I love all of the Lucy flavors. It's amazing. They're so good. I use a medium strength. It's fine. Let's level up your nicotine routine with Lucy. Go to lucy.co/TIM, promo code TIM to get 20% off your first order. Lucy has a 30-day refund policy if you change your mind. Again, that's lucy.co and use code TIM to get 20% off. And here comes the fine print. Lucy products are only for adults of legal age, and every order is age verified. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. People just want scalps. That's what they want. No one in this country has any interest in a bipartisan standard where people agree that they're going to be bothered. America's about being bothered all the time by people you don't like. People in this country are going to make a lot of money saying things you don't like. You may be listening to one of them right now. That is annoying. People don't like that. They're never going to like it. It'll never be satisfying to hear someone you don't agree with say things you don't like and get paid lots of money to do it. But that's part of the deal. It's part of the reality of living in America. Nobody likes this. You either turn it off or you hate watch it or you project onto this person things that you believe they are. Maybe you're right. Who knows? But you can't think it's a great idea that the FCC, the chairman of the FCC, goes on a podcast and goes, we could do it the easy way or the hard way. We could think about revoking broadcast licenses and then pressures affiliates to drop this show. Because this guy said something the president of the United States doesn't like. The president of the United States then also follows it up by going, hey, Seth Meyers, Fallon, Seth Meyers, you're next. You're next. Do we have the FCC? See if we can find the video of Carr. I forget his first name. Yeah, going and talking about this. Okay, let's listen to this.
There's actions that we can take on licensed broadcasters. And frankly, I think that it's really sort of past time that a lot of these licensed broadcasters themselves push back on Comcast and Disney and say, listen, we are going to preempt. We are not going to run Kimmel anymore until you straighten this out, because we licensed broadcaster are running the possibility of fines or license revocations from the FCC if we continue to run content that ends up being a pattern of news distortion. So I think, again, Disney needs to see some change here, but the individual licensed stations that are taking their content, it's time for them to step up and say, this, garbage, to the extent that that's what comes down the pipe in the future, isn't something that we think serves the needs of our local communities. But this sort of status quo is obviously not acceptable.
They're building China. It's what they're building. It's why all of the tech people decided they were Republicans. It's why all of the contracts are going to build AI models that look at speech that they don't like from students that attend to protest. They're building China, and they don't want you to notice. And if they can weaponize politics so that you stop caring, they can transform America into something that's kind of unrecognizable. This isn't without precedent. During the 2020s, lunatics ran through a lot of the institutions in America, from the media to the universities, demanding that people they disagreed with be fired. They demanded those people be deplatformed. They demanded those people be made, into sacrifices publicly. They wanted those people to be broke. They wanted those people's families to be targeted and harassed. And we watched this in the 2020s. And it was disturbing to me. I remember the Covington kids. That grimacing little kid was standing there, and the Native Americans beating the drum in his face. And then celebrities, people I know, were calling for the doxing of that literal child and his family, who then, upon further reflection, didn't do anything wrong. This is a human impulse. It's a human impulse to get whipped up into a frenzy and join a mob and run around with pitchforks and proclaim that you are morally superior to other people. This is something human beings enjoy doing. There's not that many things that get people off. This is one of them. Going and joining, picking up a pitchfork and running down the street with the mob is something that people get great enjoyment out of. It's fun. They like it. They like tearing people limb from limb. And the problem with that is that it doesn't end. See, it doesn't end. The left does it to the right does it to the left, and then eventually the government decides that people hate each other in this country enough that the government can then chop this thing up, sell it for parts, while you all hate each other and fight each other. They can hand the country over to oligarchs. Many of them are friends. They all have dinner in Washington, D.C. They're all talking about how they reach out to people in the media, people like me, they reach out to everybody, and they tell you that it's going to be good, that they are the guardians of free speech. They care about your ability to say things that ruffle feathers. They're with you. And they're actors. And behind them are very wealthy people, some of whom you know, many of whom you don't, by the way. And I don't. And we could look them up and have trouble finding them. Not in some crazy conspiracy Knights Templar way, but in the genuine way of like many of the people who have huge ownership stakes in companies are not public figures. They exist on the periphery. They have large sums of money, and they're pretty quiet about it. But they funnel that money into places, and they strangle industries. And all these people want to merge. They want to do mergers with their companies. They want to monopolize industries. They want government money, and they want government grants, so they shut up. And they don't say anything about kind of this encroaching, autocratic system. And it doesn't come from any one angle. All these people think, well, it'll just, I don't care. People go, I'm from the right. It'll come from the right. It'll silence everyone I don't like, and which you shouldn't want anyway. But it will never work like that, because what is left and what is right isn't fixed. It's changing. It's changing. 3 years ago, the right wing solidly supported Israel. Right now, they don't. 3 years ago, it was unthinkable for a majority of the right to have turned against America's funding of Israel. Now you are seeing people under 40 on the left and the right agreeing that America should not be funding whatever the hell Israel's doing. Building, Las Vegas on the Gaza Strip. Nobody's in for that. Nobody's in for that. When the Israeli finance minister comes out and goes, hey, we spent a lot of money on the war. We got to get paid back a little bit. We're doing a real estate project. It's on Trump's desk. It's all fine. People under 40 are going, hey, man, I can't own a house. I can't pay back my student loans. Why are my tax dollars funding you guys going and building Miami in Gaza? Who's that for? Who's that for, and why are people funding it? If you work at a 7-Eleven for 12 hours a day, on your feet, dealing with every drunk who walks in, grabbing, they want a pack of cigarettes, they want this, they want a hot dog, they want, you got protein bar, whatever. And you do that job, which is not an easy job. Whatever job you do, but think about that, and you're getting paid whatever. I don't know what 7-Eleven pays, but let's imagine it's not ideal. Your tax dollars are going so that real estate developers can build luxury condos with like floating bathtubs in Gaza. There's no way anyone elected Trump for this. There's zero possibility that people elected Donald Trump so that their tax dollars could go to luxury real estate development in Gaza or in Qatar. There's zero way that any of this, take a look at that. To be fair, it does look nice. To be fair, it's a little bit of an AI rendering. But nobody elected him for that. And now if you criticize that, they'll take your visa. If you're a foreign student, they'll just shut you down. So shut the fuck up, get out of here. So Kimmel was losing money for ABC. Maybe, I don't know. I heard he wasn't. I heard he wasn't making a lot of money, but I heard he wasn't losing it. But by the way, whether he was or he wasn't, who cares? He was losing it last week and he wasn't off the air. it's directly related to that joke. The FCC commissioner said it. I don't think it was a particularly good thing for Jimmy Kimmel to say this guy was MAGA. He wasn't MAGA. By the way, it's easily correctable. You can correct the record without destroying someone's ability to speak. This is something that, you try to die on the hill of this. Now, the only thing left in this country, unfortunately, seems to be power. Everybody thinking that Jimmy Kimmel being removed and indefinitely suspended from ABC means that you are winning, you're a fool. Your tax dollars are going to build casinos in Gaza. You're not winning. This is not what winning looks like, by the way. Kimmel had planned to address Carr's comments on his show Wednesday night, according to people familiar with the matter. Before his on-air appearance, Dana Walden, co-chairman of Disney Entertainment, spoke to the host about his plan, the people said. After the conversation between Kimmel and Walden, she and other senior executives thought that the star's approach could make the situation worse. People familiar with their conversation said. I mean, one of these issues is that the Kimmel writer's room is a monolith. I don't think there's anybody in there that voices any alternative opinion here and says, maybe we should slow down with this. Again, not a reason for the government to get involved and for the president to be threatening other late night hosts. But there's an element of the right wing that wants this stuff to keep going on. And it's because they felt culturally powerless for a very long time. And they want these institutions to kind of bend the knee to the president. And it's happened in other countries. People bring up Hungary and Viktor Orban and all that stuff. Obviously, people like Putin. Nobody wants to live in a country where a late night comedian is, subject to removal because he says something that the president of the United States doesn't like. Also, here's a sidebar. Is Jimmy Kimmel the deep state? Tulsi Gabbard goes out, who I like, but she goes out and goes, Obama's guilty of treason. And they don't really present a ton of evidence. And then they just drop it. And they move on. And then they go, well, this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy. And then the Epstein files, they all vote to not release them. And then they go, well, Jimmy Kimmel, let's get him out of here. And then, Steve Bannon's got a documentary with 20 hours about Epstein. We'll release that. You got all these hours. Nobody over there, they all think you're really, really dumb. And they're treating you the way you treat a young child who wants something that they're not going to get. You try to distract them with other things. You can see, I don't have kids. I'm around people that have kids all the time, and they'll go, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then you go, hey, what about this? Take a look at that. Isn't this cool? Look, a dog. This is that. This is that. I mean, Kesh Patel is walking around like the most compromised person on earth. If Kesh Patel is not afraid of something, I don't know what fear is. These people are running around. They're going to unmask everything and expose everything and whatever. Again, I wasn't the one who ran on that premise. They were. And none of that has happened. In fact, whatever cover-up's going on, they're extending it. They've now become a part of it. They are helping facilitate it. Every comment under everything these people post is, what the fuck are you doing? Speaking of a 7-Eleven, I don't think Kesh Patel could solve a robbery at a 7-Eleven without fucking it up, by the way. It's just, the guy's the head of the FBI. I love Helix. I'm telling you, it's the best mattresses in the world. Everyone that comes and stays with me says, why are these mattresses so great? And I say, it's Helix. You got to go. And this Labor Day sale is amazing. It's too good. I'm telling you right now, you will never regret getting a Helix mattress. It is the best thing that most people are going to have in their house. I'm telling you, everybody's sleep is better with Helix. You get some nice fall air and a Helix, you are good to go. It helps with snoring, back pain, sleep apnea. It helps you sleep through the night. If you sleep too hot, it cools you down. Go to helixsleep.com/TimD. I'm telling you, helixsleep.com/TimD. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. Okay? The Labor Day sale is killer. It's 20% off site-wide. Are we nuts? 25% off site-wide. It just went up 5% in a second. That's how good it is. helixsleep.com/TimD. It doesn't make any sense. I don't care if you hate Jimmy Kimmel. I'm pretty sure this administration, when they came in and they were talking about America first, they weren't talking about Jimmy Kimmel. But this is how they distract you from what's actually going on. Let's get rid of Jimmy Kimmel because he's pissed us off. By the way, Sam Altman, let's give him more and more money because we're in an AI arms race. Well, who does that help? Not very, I don't know, 20 people? 20 Trump voters? And they were all at that dinner in D.C.? You know? Is your life better? Are you making more money? Do you feel better? Do you feel financially more stable? Are you excited about the Israeli real estate project in Gaza? Does that get you going? Do the renderings make you happy? Get the renderings up again. Do the renderings make you happy? You don't have health care. Do the renderings do it for you? They're nice renderings. But does that make you excited? Is that what you voted for? Is that what you're happy about? Is this what you're excited about? Do you show them to friends of yours who have recently lost their jobs? Do you show them the renderings and go, take a look at that? That's going to be pretty fucking nice. Imagine that. Some of them you could walk right to the beach. They'll probably have a long boardwalk. You go right to the beach. That's what this is about. This city of the future that's being built on the mass grave of all of these people that we're funding, that's what it's about. An AI city of the future built on a mass grave. You're funding that. Oh, Jimmy Kimmel said a joke that people don't like. Let's see what this is. We're not even a year into this administration. It's very obvious that this whole thing, the wheels are coming off. Tucker Carlson's become a liberal hero. Is that because things are going well? Is that because things are going well? Is that happening because things have gone in the right direction? It's wild to watch. Every liberal friend I know in LA, okay, cocoons themselves in a blanket, drinks a matcha, and watches Candace Owens for 19 hours a day. And I like Candace. But is that because they're doing a great job in Washington? Is that because things are going well? You know? You know what I mean? I'm just telling you, you have a situation here that's starting to look more and more like a very big op that a lot of people are going to be easily distracted by Jimmy Kimmel or whatever. We're still in the Ukraine war. We're still doing this. We're going into World War III. I imagine we're going into World War III. How do you get out of this without World War III? How do you get out of the levels of corruption being exposed without a world war? I hope we do. It would be nice to, but how do you get out of it? It's clear that a lot of people want a wider regional conflict. I think Netanyahu does. I think Putin does. And it would be nice if there was someone in our country who didn't. I mean, I don't know, but we're heading. You can feel it. The pieces are coming together. We see different parts of the world aligning economically. We'll see it militarily. We see a lot of things happening that we don't have, there's not a ton of significance to some of these events, but there will be later when you look back and you go, yeah, that wasn't good. That wasn't great. That didn't make a lot of sense. Russian warplanes breached NATO airspace in dangerous provocation over Estonia. Israel's bombing like 12 countries a day. We've got problems, all over the world. We have a pamphlet being handed out, I believe, in Taiwan saying, everybody get ready. Get ready, everybody. Taiwan issues handbook to prepare citizens for Chinese invasion. What a lovely read. What a nice read. Get ready. They're coming. So during all of this is happening. We're talking to Jimmy Kimmel. We're talking about Jimmy Kimmel. And it's important to talk about. It's important to talk about me being fired from Riyadh. It's the most important thing, perhaps, next to the World War III, And the fact that the people in charge of the country believe it's their job to colonize Mars and make us an interplanetary species, and you're not getting a knee operation. You're not getting a knee operation before they make us an interplanetary species and colonize Mars. And a lot of people in America think it's cool. They think it's cool. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. I don't know what to tell you. It's the wildest time that I've been alive, including COVID. Somehow, there's more of an eerie feeling now than COVID. Somehow, it feels like we're waiting for something to happen. I don't know what it is. It feels like that. And not in a crazy, Fibonacci sequence. What are the numbers? What are the dates? Not in that way, but just in a general sense of malaise that people have. People have this. You talk to people about it. You go, how does it feel? Nobody feels good. Nobody feels great about this. We aren't in. Listen, we've probably never been in control. Now it's obvious how little control we're in. It's really obvious. There's a group of people, there's a group of oligarchs, there's a lot of highly placed interests that all have agendas, and they're all breaking bread, and they're all carving it up, and most people in this country don't have much of a say, and you just got to hope that they have your best interest at heart. You just got to hope that that you figure into their grand plan. When Peter Thiel or Sam Altman or any of these people or, Bezos or any of these guys talk, Zuckerberg, when any of them speak, you just have to hope that they're thinking about you. They're thinking about you and your family and your ability to pay for things. They're already going out and going, don't own a house. It's not for you. Doesn't make sense. Buy stock. Buy crypto. Why would you own a house? By the way, not owning a house hurts your social life. You can't have people over. You can't sit in the backyard with people. You can't talk to them. You can't go, hey, what's going on here? You can't share experiences with them. You live in a tiny apartment. You're embarrassed about it. Nobody comes over. There are no social bonds. That's the point. That's the point. You don't get to talk about the future of your community. That's exactly the point. You just sit there in your tiny little apartment. I have friends in New York, and I did this for years. When I was doing comedy, you sit in your tiny little apartment in New York City or whatever city, by the way, Cleveland, doesn't matter. You sit in this little apartment, you don't have anyone over, and you consume the internet. Get online more and more and more and more. It's a tiny little cell that you live in, and then you radicalize yourself on the internet. Some of us are schizophrenics, go do crazy things, then the draconian surveillance and police state comes in. They don't have an interest in people having a yard. They don't want you outside. They don't want you outside. It doesn't help them out. Putting your phone on, in a drawer and going outside and sitting down with 6 people and having dinner and talking about your community isn't helpful to them. It doesn't make any sense. They want you on the phone in a cell that you rent. They want you paying more and more money every year for a cell. And all of these companies related, all of these mega conglomerate corporate landlords, everything's a mall. They build these malls, and then on top of them, they have apartments that cost $6,000 a month to live on top of insomnia cookies, pig. Well, DoorDash really easy. They just throw the cookie in the window. It's disgusting. No one should live like this. No one's supposed to live like this. And everybody thinks it's okay or it's whatever. What did Jimmy Kimmel say? You're paying a lot of money to live in a cell. You can't have friends over. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting for most of you to have your friends to your apartment. It's embarrassing. It's shameful. I've been there. I couldn't have my friends to my apartment, and my friends are animals. And it was still embarrassing to have your friends in your apartment because it's a tiny little apartment. You've got a corner of dirty clothes. You have a takeout in the garbage. You live in a cell. And then the behaviors of someone who lives in a cell are what they want. Someone who can sit in their backyard and have a glass of wine and invite the neighbors over and go, what's going on? How are you? What do we feel? What's going on in the schools? What's going on in our society? They don't want that. They want you to be afraid of your neighbors. They want your neighbor to scare you. That's what they like. They like the idea that your neighbor terrifies you. I have neighbors, they scare me. I don't want to see them. I hope I don't see them. That's how you destroy an entire country. You don't just do it. You do it with the way people live. This is the way you destroy a country. You make everybody afraid of their neighbors, fearful. You tell everyone, don't assimilate at all. You don't have to. In fact, we don't want you to. We don't want you making friends with anyone. Why would you assimilate? Speak your own language. Have your own customs. Do your own thing. Don't go near anyone else. Don't assimilate. Don't become an American. Don't think like a free American person. Live in the cell. There's a cupcake ATM. Get the cupcake out of the ATM. You have to plan for the unexpected. It's so important, and especially for your family, your children, husband, wife. Ethos. You can get life insurance in minutes, not months. There's no complicated process, 100% online. No medical exam required. You just answer a few health questions. Get a quote in as little as 10 minutes. You can get same-day coverage without ever leaving your house. Life insurance is more affordable than you think. With Ethos, you can get a free quote and customized rate that fits your budget. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies as low as $2 a day, billed monthly. Ethos is a trustworthy company that disrupts the traditional life insurance industry. As of March 2025, Business Insider named Ethos the #1 no medical exam instant life insurance provider. 3 million families have completed their applications and trusted Ethos to help find the right coverage. Ethos has 4.8 out of 5 stars on Trustpilot with over 2,400 reviews. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos. Get your free quote at ethos.com/TIM. That's ETHOS.com/TIM. Many people are struggling with hair loss, and I'm telling you the best way to handle it is Nutrafol. Nutrafol is #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement trusted by over 1.5 million people. You can feel great about what you're putting into your body since Nutrafol hair growth supplements are packed by peer-reviewed studies and NSF content certified, the gold standard and third-party certification for supplements. I'm telling you, see thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair with less shedding in 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code Tim Dillon. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code Tim Dillon. That's Nutrafol, promo code Tim Dillon, TIMDILLON. It really is just the way people live. So when these billionaires are telling you don't need to own a house, it's not just that they don't think it's a good financial investment. Their interests are not served by you having block parties and seeing other people. They'd rather you live in a cell where people bring you Thai food and you watch YouTube videos about people or reality shows about people that do have homes. That's what people do. People in Los Angeles go to their cell on top of a P.F. Chang's, eat those lettuce wraps, which are good, and then watch reality shows about people that can afford to have a home. That's pornography now. You come thinking about having a place to see your friends. But they don't want you to have any friends. They don't want communities. It's the hollowing out of the entire thing that serves their purposes. And the only thing left is the bread and circuses and the Kimmels and the this and the that. It's the only thing left. And you're radicalized easily one way or the other, and they're pulling strings because you have less and less of your own shit. You don't have a community. You live in some global world where, like, every single thing is the most important thing. And then you go online and go, you know my take, and I think, you're supposed to care about shit that's like in a 10-block radius of where you live. You're not supposed to be involved in the Middle East. You're not supposed to be funding a real estate project in a place you've never been, in Gaza. It's not natural. It's insane. You're just not supposed to do that. You're supposed to care about things. You're supposed to know who got murdered 2 blocks away. Why did that person get murdered? You're supposed to know that. You're supposed to be interested in the crime in your area. Why? Because you live there. But now that there doesn't exist. It's malls and cupcake ATMs. It's fucking, private equity companies that build, mega structures that look like storage lockers. And you just sit there and get mad all day on the internet. And you don't know your neighbors and you don't care if they get murdered. In fact, you might want them to. You have no stake in the game. And all of this isn't new, and it's being expedited at a level I've never seen. It has never been more obvious that they are trying to get rid of human beings and human relationships and human communities at an incredibly fast clip. Human behavior puzzles them. Sam Altman doesn't know what humans do. Sam Altman's confused by human behavior. He doesn't get it. He finds it inefficient and messy. It perplexes him, okay? This is, and allegedly, that guy that worked for him died in a real weird way, okay? And Sam Altman, when Tucker pressed him about that, acted like I did when my doctor asked me if I went to McDonald's. So let's get real here. These people don't care, and they think human behavior is a problem. Cultural practices that they don't understand. They don't understand people going to church. They don't understand festivals and fairs. They don't understand people having a community where they exchange goods and services in physical locations. They don't understand people that care. Their job is to make you terrified and broke. They want you on the Citizen app. They don't want another person telling you, hear what happened to Bob? They don't want that interaction happening. They want you on the Citizen app all day, hearing about crime that you don't care about because your communities aren't tight-knit communities where people know and care about each other. They're strange corporate hellscapes filled with like part-time residents and They've turned every city in this country into a foreign Dubai like Disney Wonderland where people can launder money and then take a bunch of laundered drug money and go buy Labubu smoothies at Erewhon. They don't want anything resembling life. It's obvious they don't want anything resembling human life. You're supposed to just walk around and participate in some viral scam. That's the only reason you exist to these people. The only reason you exist to Sam Altman is so that he can monitor you in some way and that you can take part, wittingly or unwittingly, in some viral scam that someone's cooked up. That you can buy some food item or little critter or cryptocurrency that someone is hawking. That is the sum total of your humanity to these people. Why buy a house? You don't need a house. What a bad investment. What does that word even mean? Investment? What are you talking about? You know what's a really good investment? Sitting there with 7 people in your backyard having dinner and talking about life. They don't want it. It's a threat to them. It's actually a big problem. So I mean, it's at a tremendous clip. It's the frequency of which this is happening, how quickly it's happening, everywhere. It's not just any one thing. It's architecture. It's business. It's political. It's cultural. But really, at the end of the day, it's all of these things working together to take you out of the world and put you on the internet where they want you to live. You're a view. You're an anonymous source of data. You're something to be marketed or terrified, but they don't consider you a person with inalienable rights. They don't consider you in any form or reflection of God or a greater intelligence outside of the thing that they're going to create. They consider you an obstacle, and that the way you live is an obstacle to their ultimate goals. That's what they consider you. You are something that's in the way. Your football game and your a couple of beers outside, or you invite people over to your home, your family, your faith, your community, your culture, your all of this to them. And I don't care if it's liberal or conservative. I don't care if you're a fundamentalist Christian. I don't care if you're Jewish, Muslim. I don't care if you're an atheist. I don't care if you do the winter solstice. They don't either. Their entire thing is to get rid of physical communities that are based around these things and usher people into a digital landscape by telling them not to own houses, not to drive cars, not to own things, to use ride shares, to be on the internet, to live in a cell, and to be happy. It is what it is. You'll own nothing and be happy. It's a famous article. We all bring it up. But it's true. And what Jimmy Kimmel says at the end of the day doesn't really affect your life in the way that you think it does. He should have a right to say it. He should be criticized for saying it. People should attack him on the facts, not physically. You should attack the facts because they weren't present in what he said, okay? But there's something bigger going on, and everyone feels it, and it worries me that other people don't. There's something bigger going on all over the country, and it's not about Jimmy Kimmel, and it's not really about left versus right. It's about this inertia that's moving humanity into a perpetual state of constant war, depression, anxiety, anger. I'm not proselytizing. I'm not telling you to do this or do that. I'm not saying to you that you can only find meaning in life one way. I believe there's many ways to find meaning in life. However, it's clearly obvious that the algorithms are manipulating us to hate each other and kill each other while everyone else is building resorts in other places of the world, in Gaza, in Qatar. They'll be building them in the Ukraine soon. Watch. And all the while, your life gets worse. You become angry. You lack the ability to live the life your parents did or their parents did. And all they have to say to you is how lucky you are. How lucky you are that you don't live in a place like China. Wow, how lucky you are that you don't live in a place like China, as they make America more like China every hour. So, you know, you just have to understand what's happening. You have to resist it in the ways that you can. Don't listen to them when they tell you not to buy a house. Don't listen to them. Do not listen to them when they tell you that it's worthless to have a patch of dirt and grass and friends and a community. It's absolutely not worthless. In fact, it's the only thing that may save you. Don't tell them it's worthless to learn how to cook or grow food or be sufficient because everything is at the click of a button. Don't tell them that it's worthless. I mean, don't listen to them when they say that it is worthless to try to see the humanity in somebody who doesn't agree with you. You know, it really is disturbing. The people right now that run the show are not people. They make these mistakes. They do these interviews. Guys, someone keep them behind closed doors. They keep being interviewed. Frankensteins keep coming out to be interviewed. I think Frankenstein was actually good. I didn't read that book. Was Frankenstein good?
Yes.
Yes. Well, that's not what I mean then. Who was bad then in Frankenstein? The mob?
Yes.
All right. That doesn't apply here. Why did they fire me? It's not fair. But what I'm telling you is this. Take a minute. Charlie Kirk was a human being. He was not a dangerous radical. You may not have agreed with him. Who gives a fuck? The guy was a human being. You have to rediscover that you are a human being as well. You don't have to like me. You don't have to think I'm good. You can hate me. You know, I'd like if you didn't shoot me, but, you know, at the end of the day, getting rid of human communities, replacing them with digital communities that are created via hate and algorithms and moving people out of these physical places and destroying the bonds we have with each other. Be very suspicious of people who tell you to not own a home. Be very suspicious of people that tell you they talk about investments and they own 12. Be very suspicious of all these people. And I've been saying things like this for a long time, but it does feel now that we're getting to the point where we're getting close to the point of no return. And if we're easily distracted and we're just fighting each other, we're not going to be able to demand that we stay human because there are interests and agendas operating at very high levels that want to rob us of our humanity, and they're winning and they're succeeding. I hope everyone has fun at the Riyadh Comedy Festival. I will continue to live like a Saudi in my own country because I can. I am now fully with Iran against Saudi Arabia. I didn't want it to be this way, but it is. Alliances shift constantly. This is the game. This is the game. I hope everyone enjoys it. And if you're a Saudi, I hope you continue to listen to the program. Continue to listen. Continue to support us here. And again, it's no reflection on you. I blame a few people who ended up being cowardly. I do not blame the Saudi people. Even the executioner who's doing the beheading. I don't even blame you. I don't blame you with the mask on doing the beheading. I don't blame you. I actually don't blame you. I don't blame you. Truly, I don't blame you. Okay? I blame Joker too.
All right, you guys, happy Monday. Erica Kirk, man, she really is just the moment. The speech that she gave, everybody was just wowed by her. I felt my energy personally, like last night going into that, I was effectively like soaring in the air above the convention center, like a dragon above, waiting for Erica to just be like, fire. And I was just going to come down and swoop in out of nowhere. All the politicians, all the fake people, everyone was just going to be in that moment toast. But she didn't call for war. Erica did not call for war. In fact, she did the exact opposite, which is what was so stunning. It was unbelievable. The forgiveness that she granted, the strength that it took for her to call for that forgiveness, it's just unmatched, and it really made a difference. And I was being serious when I tweeted that I think it was the most consequential speech in American history, a message that everyone needed to hear, including myself, a message of complete submission to Christ. And by the way, later on, we're also going to discuss another kind of submission to Christ, which is submitting yourself to truth. Kash Patel has now come out and issued a statement fully capitulating to the public insistence that they're lying to us. They are so clearly lying to us about what happened on the day that Charlie Kirk lost his life. Nothing they've told us thus far makes any sense, and somehow it's only getting worse. So welcome back. Let's jump right into this. I have to say, any woman that can get on stage and meaningfully say that they forgive the person who killed their husband that quickly, you are truly a better person than me, because I've just been so angry. And yet she was able to, through tears, and obviously you could tell how difficult that moment was for her, but she arrived at forgiveness, and she did it in front of the entire world. And I think that every single person should watch that speech. Truly, they should watch that speech. They should watch Tucker Carlson's speech. I don't think even showing you clips of it, I'm going to show you one, could do it justice. You should watch it in its entirety, the emotion, the message of it, and you can obviously see why Charlie fell in love with her, right? I remember meeting Erica. Charlie and I were in New York for something, one or another, and he was falling for her hard, but he wanted to play it cool. So he's like, come meet her at Del Frisco's in New York City. And I came there, and she was just lovely. She was genuinely such a nice person. And I was like, Charlie, just go for it. Just go for it. And he did go for it. And last night, I really do think that the entire world needed to hear her message. What you took from it, how you could apply it to your life, is up to you. But specifically, the part that she shared that provided me with so much peace, and I needed to hear it, truly, was when she explained that Charlie did not suffer, because thinking about that is, I really shed so many tears over it, just thinking that he suffered even for a moment. It was my favorite part of her speech, so I'm going to play that right now.
One moment, Charlie was doing what he loved, arguing and debating on campus, fighting for the gospel and truth in front of a big crowd, and then he blinked. He blinked and saw his Savior in paradise. And all the heavenly mysteries were revealed to him.
I mean, it's just beautiful, and to really think about that he just blinked and then he was with the Lord. And it is just a fact that Charlie just loved the Lord. It was constantly, like I told you, going through the conversations and how much he would just say, I need to pray about it, I need to pray about it, I need to pray about it, wanting to marry Erica. First thing he said, which I think I showed you guys last week. And Erica's correct. It is important to remember that message of forgiveness that we have within ourselves, and it sometimes feels very hard to do that, but we are called upon to forgive people, to forgive our enemies, even in moments that it seems impossible or extraordinary to do so. But it is also important, it's not really a but I want to assert that it is also important to remember that what Christ is, as I said at the top of this show, is truth, right? Christ is truth, and we are not getting the truth right now of what happened to Charlie Kirk on 9/10. And to be very clear, I am going to need it. I demand it. In fact, I'm now currently working on a minute-by-minute timeline, which I will have for you guys later this week, of what exactly happened in the seconds and minutes following Charlie getting shot. I need to know. I need to follow bodies. I've already been able to, as I asked over the weekend, locate George Zinn in the crowd. It seems a bit suspicious to me how far he was, and then suddenly they take him through a pathway. I mean, that's him right there. Thank you to the person that sent this picture. But then I find him on video, and I'm trying to understand how he made it down the pathway and was taken through to the same area that they had just taken Charlie in the car. I have a lot of questions, and each and every one of them will be answered by the end of this investigation. And I also want to put it to you this way. So much more has come to light that I have not yet presented. I am working with other journalists, different aspects, asking them, hey, you look into this, I'm going to look into that. And the first thing that I think I should make abundantly clear is I am relieved that Erica Kirk is at the head of Turning Point USA, because just like I alluded to last week, and which I will double down on now, I believe that people within that company betrayed Charlie. Okay? That's just what I believe right now. And I want to make sure that I have these facts entirely on my side before I tell you guys more. I will say, if you are a rat on a ship, you should probably flee now. I recommend it. Anyways, you guys, on Friday, we did an episode. I want to be clear, I didn't think that that episode was going to have the reaction that it did, but I am grateful. We were unpacking the footage that was going viral of the guy that was taking down the camera, which was directly behind Charlie's head, a mere approximate 4 minutes after Charlie was shot. Everybody thought that it was very suspicious. I recognized the individual and reached out, had a conversation, saw the footage, and made the promise that I was not going to share it. Although I said to you, I encouraged them to share it. I believe that the reason everybody is a conspiracy theorist is because people don't share truth, right? Once you share everything, there's no room for conspiracy. And when I was sharing what I saw, I was doing so because I was just thinking that, this could help. Like, this can obviously remove people from their conspiracies. And then it kind of occurred to me that what I shared was a bigger deal than I had imagined by saying that I didn't see any blood. And that is a fact. I did not see any blood. In fact, the only blood that I did see at all, I'm talking about blood on the back, was on Charlie's hand, on Charlie's left hand, which, as many people have been saying, means that the blood moved forward. We don't need to get into all of the gore. But what I didn't expect thereafter was for the Turning Point USA spokesperson, Andrew Colvett, to issue this statement as people were asking questions like, hey, how is that possible? How was there nothing in the back if this is the gun that was used? Andrew Colvett tweeted this over the weekend. I want to address some of the discussion about the lack of an exit wound with Charlie. I'm usually not interested in delving into most of this kind of online chatter, and I apologize that this is somewhat graphic. But in this case, the fact that there wasn't an exit wound is probably another miracle, and I want people to know. I just spoke with the surgeon who worked on Charlie in the hospital. He said the bullet, quote, absolutely should have gone through, which is very, very normal for a high-powered, high-velocity round. I've seen wounds from this caliber many times, and they always just go through everything. This would have taken a moose or two down, an elk, etc., end quote. And then, now this is Andrew, but it didn't go through. Charlie's body stopped it. I mentioned to his doctor that there were dozens of staff, students, and special guests standing directly behind Charlie on the other side of the tent, and he replied, it was an absolute miracle that someone else didn't get killed. His bone, referring to Charlie, was so healthy and the density was so impressive that he's like the man of steel. It should have just gone through and through. It likely would have killed those standing behind him too. In the end, the coroner did find the bullet just beneath the skin. Even in death, Charlie managed to save the lives of those around him. Remarkable and miraculous. End statement. Now, First, I want to say this because people were attacking Andrew Colvett immediately. I want to say that it is good to remember that this is Andrew Colvett's literal job, okay? He is a PR agent. He runs a PR company, and his job is to respond to online chatter and online questions. And sometimes it may not even be what you want to say. In fact, it should never actually, if you're going to do your job, be necessarily what you want to say. He also was very close to Charlie. So I would imagine that he's under a tremendous amount of pressure. The company is moving into a different direction. We are still just over a week after Charlie lost his life. And he has to be the messenger. Who is directing that message? We don't know, but his job can't be easy at this moment, okay? If I say to my PR agent, I want you to make this statement, he works for the company, my PR person just has to make the statement, okay? So I think I would like to just respond to what is being said objectively rather than to attack Andrew Colvett's character. That aside, the statement objectively feels to me like the manipulation of a Christian audience, right? They know Charlie's audience is Christian. And therefore, what they're selling to us is you should believe, you're a believer, right? As a Christian, you believe in miracles, right? Like you believe in Christ and the miracles that Jesus performed, right? Well, then you should just believe this. There's something about that I don't like. I don't like that. I don't just, this was a miracle and that should just be the end and no more questions should be asked. Yes, the conservative base is filled with Christians, but also the conservative base is filled with a lot of hunters, okay? People that hunt and they know weapons and they know how weapons work and they know how weapons don't work. And this particular statement to me does not pass the sniff test. Now, again, when I shared that information, I had assumed they were going to say, the angle went through this. I did not imagine they were just going to say that it was a miracle. Alex Jones immediately took to X Live. This began trending. The statement began trending, and he jumped onto X, and he responded to that statement saying this. Take a listen.
The spokesperson for TP USA just posted 2 hours ago that they talked to the coroner and that Charlie Kirk was shot with a .30-06 in the left side of his neck, the carotid artery, and that he's a man of steel, and that the bones in his neck that are like chicken bones stopped a bullet that travels 2,500 feet a second out of the barrel at 200 yards, depending on the grain of the cartridge and the rest of it. Probably hit him at 1,900 feet per second. I've shot hogs at 500 yards, 30-06, right to the side. Tiny hole, blows a 4-inch hole out the other side. We're talking through 2 feet of a hog. Boom. Hit him in the head, brain completely blows out. They just said he got shot with a 30-06 and that it didn't go through.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to process. And here's the thing. If you were going to bring me to the argument that this truly was a miracle, it probably would not be in the midst of a circumstance where the feds are lying, right? That is like not now, right? Because it could be a miracle also that Tyler Robinson decided to take a break at Dairy Queen and issue some texts that sound like they were written in 1822 and tell every single, it could just be a miracle, right, for the feds and go through every single detail of exactly how he planned it, why he planned it, including his MAGA dad, who's been extra MAGA lately that he doesn't actually lived with, and nobody knows why the dad is extra MAGA lately, and explaining where to find the weapon and just a miracle that he happened to leave this letter that has since been disappeared. But he took a picture, his lover took a picture of it. It could just all be one big federal miracle. But I'm not inclined to believe that at this moment, okay? I'm not inclined to believe any of this at this moment. And so we press on, okay? And because Alex And many other people and hunters and conservatives were going, yeah, no. I mean, people were even posting videos of them shooting to show what that damage would be like. Kash Patel then made an extraordinary move, and I would say I would refer to this as a capitulation to online sleuths. He tweeted this. He wrote, as the director of the FBI, I am committed to ensuring the investigation into Charlie Kirk's assassination is thorough and exhaustive, pursuing every lead to its conclusion. The full weight of America's law enforcement agencies are actively following the evidence that has emerged, but our efforts extend beyond initial findings. We are examining every facet of this assassination. We are meticulously investigating theories and questions, including the location from where the shot was taken, the possibility of accomplices, the text message confession and related conversations, Discord chats, the angle of the shot and bullet impact, how the weapon was transported, hand gestures observed as potential signals near Charlie at the time of his assassination, and visitors to the alleged shooter's residence in the hours and the days leading up to September 10th, 2025. Some details are known today, while others are still being pursued to ensure every possibility is considered. Our primary focus is to complete this investigation and deliver justice. To protect the integrity of the investigation and subsequent prosecution, we cannot release every piece of information that we have to the public right now. We will ensure every question is addressed at the appropriate moment regarding specific details, such as questions about the plane that allegedly turned off its transponder after departing from an airport near the assassination site. We can share updates when answers are confirmed. After interviews with the pilot and consultation with the FAA, we determined the transponder was not turned off. Incomplete flight data in rural areas caused the apparent gap. The entire FBI mourns the loss of Charlie Kirk. We will not rest until justice is served, and our investigation into this assassination will continue until every question is answered. Okay, so first thing that I can very quickly debunk is when he says that they looked into the transponder thing, and yeah, we checked it out, and actually they just lost service. Okay, that disputes what the plane owner themselves, he identified himself, Derek Maxfield, and issued a long statement on Instagram where he said that they got permission to, turn off services, which are transponder services, and they got that permission from the air traffic controller. So it can't be both. It can't be, no, it never happened, they just lost service, and Derek Maxfield saying, no, we had communication with the ATC, which is air traffic control, and what we did followed guidelines. So that's already a problem. Secondly, saying that you're not going to release information because you want to protect the integrity of the investigation while also releasing those ridiculous text messages that looked like somebody was having fun on TikTok and making, a ridiculous skit. I don't feel like the investigation has much integrity, or the feds in general have any integrity after you guys gaslit us about Jeffrey Epstein, okay? So if you want us to, or if you want to restore credibility to the feds, I would allow the mommy sleuths to take over. That's my opinion. I'd get in touch and allow the internet to do what the internet does, because now you're answering everything that we brought up. Not me, we. Because it is because of the entire world paying attention, sending tips. I'm grateful to God that I have a platform to be able to share that information and to encourage it. But this is just coming from regular people around the world. And now you guys are, it feels like playing defense because you have not been playing offense. So yeah, that would be my free advice that's not going to be listened to. But while I have your attention, I do have a few more questions that could be answered, or maybe some leads that you guys could be exploring, if you will, because once we began learning about that house next door that's been vacant and is owned by UVU, and once we began looking into the witnesses and finding a common last name and looking into Caldera Engineering, as we did last week, again, not implying that they did anything wrong, just telling you factually that witness whose footage ended up in the hands of TMZ runs an engineering company that has a presence worldwide, and they specialize in making these valves. I started thinking, once people told me that valves historically have a connection to the government and the deep state, about how important those valves were to warfare, because if you just want to shut down someone's pipeline, let's say you want to shut off water, or you want to shut off gasoline, yeah, it makes sense why the government would want to be controlling pipelines and valves. But anyways, I started to ask myself, oh, well, did anybody look into whether or not there was anything under Charlie Kirk when he was shot? Right? Because if we aren't accepting the narrative that that particular gun at that distance didn't pass through, and yet for whatever reason the feds scrambled to repave that area, maybe, as some people have speculated, he was shot from a closer distance. I started wondering, was there an access point to any valves? Were there any pipelines that could have been under Charlie? And as it turns out, I looked at some old pictures of where he was sitting, and there was a massive pipeline that was almost exactly behind where Charlie was sitting. Here's that maybe it's a water pipeline, I don't know, but there it is under the flag. And to your right, I went into my tips line and I saw that somebody had messaged me about this. More than one person messaged me about this. They're like, hey, yeah, there's like a whole underground thing there. And to your right, you're observing those two little boxes. And they told me that that was a trap door. Now, I'm not implying someone, popped up and shot Charlie, but that's a close-up of that area. I'm just implying that there's an entire underground there. And I remember when I looked at the footage, I felt like it was coming up. I don't know anything about ballistics. I'm not an expert. But if there was a hatch door nearby, then we can assume, as we should always assume with colleges, obviously stadiums, there's always an underground path. So I'm wondering, if the federal government has explored the possibility that somebody could have been under Charlie and done that, while everyone's looking around and thinking that a shot went off from here, if that was just maybe like decoy number 2, and actually Charlie was shot from beneath him, which then could maybe explain why there was no exit wound. Again, I'm theorizing because I have a right to. I have a right to think. And that is interesting to me. Where does it go? Where do the tunnels underneath UVU lead to, right? That's an interesting question. Maybe everyone's looking up when we should be looking below, right? Maybe we should be looking below if there is this interest in pipelines. And I saw that actually where he was sitting, there's a whole irrigation system that's managed by the university. And so there's definitively stuff beneath Charlie. Again, I don't know anything about ballistics, but I've been very clear that we will be exploring every lead until we get a proper answer for what happened. And I think that that would probably be an interesting one for the feds to explore, because within 48 hours, I mean, was it 48 hours, Skylar? They decided to instead pave that area, repave it. Do we have footage of that? Here we go. Yeah, no, they kind of did the opposite here. They paved it. And I feel like that was a little soon. So I don't know if things can be unpaid. I'm sure they can, but maybe exploring a tunnel network would be a good start. And I will leave it at that before we get into the absurd. I didn't think it could be more absurd than last week in the manners that I have been attacked. But over the weekend, somebody reported me to the FBI and the CIA. And I'm not going to prison alone. I'm taking all of you guys. First, let me tell you guys about Preborn, because I've watched too many people who I'm close to be vilified for standing up for truth. I have felt the sting of injustice myself, but I've also felt something else, which is courage. I think everybody right now is feeling courage. And I don't want to be playing defense. I don't want to water down what I believe in to be palatable. Not that I've ever been accused of doing that. But it is true that silence is not kindness. Silence is consent. And right now, the greatest silence that is being had right now is around the lives that are ended before they even take their first breath. If we're going to call ourselves defenders of life, then we should act like it. That's why I'm asking you to join me to fight back with action, with truth, with love, For just $28, you can provide a free ultrasound to a woman that is in a crisis and considering an abortion. $28 will help her see the life inside of her, to give her the truth that we know that our current culture will not. So don't sit this out. Don't wait for permission. Be bold, be clear, be unapologetically pro-life. Go to preborn.org/Candace right now. If you give $28, or you can give 10 times that if you can, this is the line that we absolutely must hold. We have to stand on it. We must stand for truth and what is right. We can save lives from abortion, and we can stand firm in the gospel. Again, that is preborn.org/Candace to provide an ultrasound for just $28. Also going to tell you guys about Just Thrive. You guys know I love them. The biggest health secret is not talked about is that everything starts in our gut. Every single thing starts in our gut. Every day, your gut is fighting a silent war against processed foods, work stress, the toxins that are in the air that you breathe. When your gut is in trouble, your whole body will feel it. Most probiotics don't work. 99% of the traditional brands die in your stomach acid before they even reach your gut. That's what makes Just Thrive's spore-based probiotic completely different. Just Thrive is the only probiotic that is clinically proven to arrive 100% alive in your gut. It does not, which means it does something that most other probiotics cannot. It turns your gut into an antioxidant factory, creating protective compounds exactly where you need them most, which means better digestion, healthy immunity, more energy, and easy weight management. You can take Just Thrive probiotic in the form of a capsule or berry-flavored gummy. From their award-winning probiotic to their full line of gut, immune, and brain health supplements, Just Thrive has been fighting to make Americans healthy again with science-backed solutions that you can trust. To join the gut health revolution and take control of your health today, visit justthrive.com and save 20% with promo code Candace. See the difference for yourself or get a full product refund, no questions asked. Take control today with Just Thrive. That's justthrivehealth.com with promo code Candace. Okay. The attacks against me from AIPAC citizens or Zionists are now bordering on the hysterical. I mean, last week was insane. I got to the point where I just shrugged. Kanye shrugged. I'm like, okay, I don't know what to say. But this was just so funny, I had to share it. I have been meaningfully reported to the FBI and the CIA, and I want to be very clear, you guys are all complicit. Just this weekend, this is real, a real live tweet came from Laura Loomer, our resident psycho. She tweeted this. She's been attacking me nonstop. As part of her grift to monetize the murder of her quote-unquote best friend, Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens is selling a CIA line of merchandise that is called the Candace Intelligence Agency, which rips off the CIA name and logo. It is a federal felony to use the CIA seal without license. She then cites the code and reads it, sends a quote from it, pulls it, and then says, "You are likely breaking the law with your CIA merch, Candace. The CIA can technically sue to get Candace to stop using their logo." It's really disrespectful to Charlie Kirk and the CIA. And then she CCs and tags the director of the CIA. Now, as everybody who watches this show knows, we've been selling that merch since before Charlie got assassinated. So we just continued our show with the merch that we already sold for our show. Obviously, our parody off of the CIA, which is perfectly legal, obviously, was related to the fact that we're always investigating things. So don't let the truth get into your way when you're smearing somebody. But the audacity to actually tag the director of the CIA and ask us to go to prison or to get into trouble is just, I think it really highlights they're insane. It is just insanity. It is reaching new levels. I love the guy who then tweeted under her. This was so good. He just said, "Look at Amazon committing all of these quote unquote federal felonies." And then he says, "F Israel first, Laura Loomer," as just a little side note. And then he shows all the t-shirts on Amazon because, like, obviously you can buy yourself an FBI costume for Halloween if you'd like to. But that wasn't enough because last week was that insane. Like, they just tried to wipe away years of my life by pretending, completely fictionalized, that Charlie and I had a breakup, right? Eric Bowling did this. He said, I don't know if he was even sober on that program because he said he hadn't seen me, this is Eric Bowling, since 2015. He interviewed me in 2020, so that was weird. But they were, clearly the call went out to just make up something that never happened. Never happened. I never had a falling out with Charlie Kirk. And so this guy, Awesome Jew, who heard was also in the Hamptons with Bill Ackman and that group of people who went out there. He then tries to cleverly release a text message between Charlie Kirk and an unknown individual. The text message has no date, it has no time, and I'm going to tell you why that is, and I'm going to tell you exactly when that text message had to have occurred. But him releasing this tweet spectacularly backfired. The goal, of course, was to prove that Charlie and Candace had a falling out. Look at this message. Charlie's talking trash about Candace, except he's not at all. Instead, what the message did is that it proved exactly what I was saying, that donors and Zionists were attempting to control his speech, my speech, and who he platformed. So these are the text messages that he shared, and he wrote exclusive. A close friend of Charlie Kirk shared these messages. I'm going to guess it's either Seth Dillon or Josh Hammer. It could not be, but I'm just putting that out there because of the style of the messages. And he says he was never wavering on Israel, and they are active. He was actively pushing back on Candace Owens' false narrative. Now, these are the messages he shared. This is the friend of Charlie in blue. He writes, I watched the podcast. Candace needs to say two things, and this will stop in its tracks. They are fundamental conservative principles, and she didn't say either. Quote, Israel is not committing a genocide. Second quote, 30 dead, raped, kidnapped, and beheaded Americans in Gaza makes the fight in Gaza America first. And then he ends it by saying, this is not Ukraine. He's literally saying what I have to say to make something stop in its tracks. Right? And then Charlie writes, this is right. I'm really trying to help her. What else is he going to say to this person? And then, but it's that second message that I can tell you exactly what the context was, because I was messaging Charlie about it, and I can tell you the time frame and why they wiped it is because it's from 2023. He then writes, it doesn't come natural to her because I truly think she doesn't understand. Saying that Muslims are forced to live in a Muslim quarter in Israel, and that betrays the timeline. Okay? So what clearly happened in this text chain is that I tweeted, this is when it all started for me, and I started getting threats that I had to take it back if I wanted my life back, and he's kind of saying that there, right? This will all stop. I tweeted that genocide is always wrong. Here's the exact tweet. No government anywhere has a right to commit a genocide ever. There is no justification for a genocide. I can't believe this even needs to be said or is even considered the least bit controversial to state. That tweet was me responding to something that Brian Mast said in Congress. He said, there's no such thing as an innocent Palestinian life. That was grotesque. So I then started getting peer pressured to correct the tweet, to apologize for the tweet. At the time, I was at the Daily Wire, that I needed to understand why my tweet was wrong. Dave Rubin instantly replied and said something about Israel, even though I didn't mention Israel in the tweet. And by itself, it was, I still stand by that tweet, guys, years on. And I was being inundated. Charlie was being inundated. Like, how could she say this? How dare she say this thing? This is so wrong. And then I hosted somebody who was a Zionist on my show. And that's what he's referring to, the conversation that I had with Ami Kozak. And clearly, Charlie probably said to him, you can watch this to get her viewpoints. Candace is not anti-Semitic. And that guy is not having it. He is incensed. And he is saying, here are the words that we have to hear from Candace. The reason they stripped that and didn't put the date that it was 2023 is because then it destroys the narrative that they're trying to put out that me and Charlie had a falling out, because obviously I went on tour with Charlie at the beginning of 2024 and I spoke at their conference in the summer of 2024. And, you know, don't let the facts get in the way of this bizarre narrative that Charlie and I had some falling out last year, which never happened. Rather, what happened was Charlie was peer pressured by these same individuals that I, you know, for me not to speak at AmFest. And I was just like, dude, I don't even care, which is what I told you. Now, in terms of his statement there, that Charlie's viewpoints were not changing at all. These are not words that I put in Charlie's mouth. You can just go back and watch the things that he was saying. He hosted a sit down, which was incredible, actually, to discuss what anti-Semitism is and what anti-Semitism is not. It was a town hall of sorts with students. Gen Z, as Megyn Kelly said, you can't find anybody beneath the age of 30 that supports Israel. That's a fact. And Charlie was trying to communicate that their tactics, just like you see in that text message, was hurting their cause. People are tired of it. We're tired of being bullied. For me, they behaved like a mafia. There's no other way to say it. My livelihood was being threatened. And then eventually, obviously, I lost my job behind the scenes, telling me what I had to say if I wanted to, I don't know, still be welcomed into the circle. And I made a conscious decision to not be welcomed into. I don't want to be around people that are behaving like that are speaking like the way that person is speaking. Here's what she needs to say. Who are you? I don't need to say anything. My statement was fine. Genocide is always wrong, okay? It's just always wrong. And you're not going to convince me that I've done something wrong. They wanted me to apologize. I was being told I needed to issue a public statement to apologize for the tweet that I just read to you. Genocide is always wrong. Wackadoodle. Anyways, let's hear Charlie Kirk in his own words. This is from July of this year. He was hosting that town hall about anti-Semitism. Skylar, let's first run the clip of just before we get into the AIPAC clip, just him discussing with Gen Z anti-Semitism. Take a listen.
You're not anti-Israel. You don't wish them harm. You're not, like cheering on Iran.
No, I support Israel. I think they're our ally. I want them.
But you would be called an anti-Semite by some people for saying this.
And I think that's ridiculous. I don't hate Jews because I think a nation should defend themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, I think that's the most ridiculous thing ever.
I feel like it's becoming like the word racism. Like, we just disagree with them, so we just have to call them a name. I don't think they're actually anti-Semitic. I think people just can't agree with them and they can't prove them wrong, so they just throw a word out and be like, you're anti-Semitic because you think that we should stop sending our money there.
Something that I see amongst the people I'm around, I do see more like general disdain towards, just being honest, Jewish people.
That's correct.
Just because they're constantly being told that you hate Jews. And it's like, fine. If you're going to say I hate Jews over and over and over again, like, if I'm going to be convicted of the crime, I might as well do the crime. I fear the same thing happens with all the talk of race. The more we talk about it, the more we bring it up, the more racism actually happens.
This is like, I try to tell, thank you for saying this. Like, because like, I try to tell these people and they're like, we must get more aggressive. And so like, let me ask a question. If we were to remove, like if people said what Tucker said is anti-Semitic, I don't hold that view. But it's like a lot of people on Twitter are like calling us out and like, whatever. That's not going to happen. But if we were to cancel Tucker, would anti-Semitism increase or decrease?
I think increase, because that means any supporter of Tucker Carlson's statement therefore makes them anti-Semites.
Guilt and association, 100%.
Exactly.
But the binary that's presented is that if you don't passionately talk about it, you are a hater. That's probably destructive for everybody involved. So for me, I'm trying to find this new path, which is, I love Israel. I visited there. My wife and I had the best experiences ever. I saw where Jesus rose from the dead and he walked on water. But also, I'm an American, and I represent a generation that can't afford anything, and that we are like flooded with illegals, and no one speaks English, and our hospitals are clogged. I think we need to have the prudence to reject the Jew hate. Like, okay, we're not going to put up with that. That's dumb. But also, if you call everyone an anti-Semite, if they don't take a puritanical view of the Netanyahu government, then I think it's bad for everybody.
Again, that's him in his own words, just a little over a month before he lost his life. So I don't understand them. I don't know what they're trying to win here. And then he takes it a step further. They talk about a no-go zone. You imagine he's got these donors, they're threatening him. And here is what he had to say when they were discussing AIPAC. Take a listen.
How many of you guys think when a lawmaker, and a man I respect like Ted Cruz, uses the Bible to justify aid to Israel, doesn't even know the verse, do you guys think that's like not the best way to approach this? Raise your hand. Okay.
I think Ted Cruz used Genesis 12:3. I think a lot of people see that as off-putting when you look at the New Testament.
Why?
Because I think a lot of people, they look especially at the writings of Paul, where he talks about how the new flesh is not the same as the people in the Old Covenant. The new flesh is everybody, everyone's included.
Talking about Romans 9.
Yes, 9:6, yeah.
Are you Catholic?
Converted Catholic from Judaism.
I can tell.
This is my next
Oh, from Judaism?
Yes.
Oh, wow. So you're you're ethnically Jewish.
Ethnically Jewish, yes.
And you have concerns about AIPAC.
Yes, I do.
I'm told that by some people that if I criticize AIPAC, I'm anti-Semitic.
I think it's ridiculous, yeah. I feel like it's great to have a concern for your country.
Do you think that that AIPAC represents, again, I'm not saying I believe this, but I think this is what you're saying, that it represents a kind of cutting in line of prioritization away from the American people?
Yes.
Would you guys say that's a fair summary? 100%. Meaning that, like, okay, we vote, we're citizens, but a separate group gets higher priority because of whatever reasons. You look like you want to chime in.
That the entirety of the idea of a pack is to represent a group, but the fact that we're allowing a group that doesn't even represent American interests to influence the people who are supposed to be representing us, I have a huge problem with. And that's why I've said this before, and a lot of people don't like when I say it. I actually think there's probably like 20 representatives between Senate and House who I think are actually fully doing the work of the American people and don't have the interests of some group pulling their sway.
But when you hear that lots of other countries also are lobbying, do you think, I mean, that you probably don't know the names of those countries, but it's happening. Does that upset you equally, or is AIPAC just get all the press because it's so top of mind?
If those other ones are doing the same thing, of course. I do not think that other countries should be telling us how to spend, you know, telling our representatives and people who are here to represent all of us that they should be focusing outside of the United States.
America first.
Thank you.
You know, there once was a president who started talking about that, suggesting that the precursor to AIPAC, which became AIPAC, should register under FARA, and he ended up getting shot in a moving vehicle in broad daylight with the whole world watching. So that's a dangerous conversation to be hosting, is what I want to say. It's a very dangerous conversation to be hosting. It is incredible that he is, in his own words, 6 weeks ago, and they're just lying. To that young ethnically Jewish kid who said he was converted to Catholicism, amazing. If the spirit of what he was saying, if he was the leader and was the spokesperson in the political realm for the Jewish people, they would go a lot further. They would go a lot further. Instead, they're making enemies everywhere. And as they make enemies, they then gaslight, they call their friends in the press, they call you names, and they keep doing more of the thing that made them lose an entire generation of people. Charlie was trying to help them. He was trying to help them. As you can see, as he said, I tell them, who's he talking about when he said that? I keep telling them this. Who is he speaking about? Listen to Charlie in his own words. It's ridiculous to pretend like I am saying something that you cannot verify, that Megyn Kelly's lying, that Tucker Carlson is lying. And it is very difficult to not see, as I do, that what I went through in the beginning of 2024 seems to be what Charlie was going through in 2025, which is getting really tired of the pressure of people telling you something that you're doing is wrong or saying is wrong when it so clearly is not. It's almost like they try to make you think you're in a psychosis, right? It's a level of gaslighting you've never seen before. It's like, how could you say? What did you mean when you said genocide is always wrong? I can help you. I'm your friend. Candace, don't you see why you should say sorry for that tweet? I know, I look back at text messages. I know other Jewish people, you know, they love you, but they were hurt. You know, they saw your tweet and they just said, what happened to Candace? They said it brought tears to their eyes. And I held the line. I said, I'm not apologizing. If me saying genocide is always wrong brought tears to their eyes, then these people are demons. Like, what? Like, excuse me? So that's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. And I also just want to say that Tucker Carlson was amazing at last night as well. I know he's catching a lot of flack, but what his message was very important. He shared the story of Christ and that these people who plot and lie and, you know, censor and pass laws, all it ever does inevitably is the exact opposite of what they're hoping that it does. And that really is the lesson of the Lord. That is the lesson of all of the plots failing. And here is a clip of what Tucker Carlson had to say last night.
The main thing about Charlie and his message, he was bringing the gospel to the country. He was doing the thing that the people in charge hate most, which is calling for them to repent. So how is Charlie's message different? And Charlie was a political person who was deeply interested in coalition building and in getting the right people in office because he knew that vast improvements are possible politically, but he also knew that politics is not the final answer. It can't answer the deepest questions, actually. That the only real solution is Jesus. And the reason, it's really simple. Politics at its core, is a process of critiquing other people and getting them to change. Christianity, the gospel message, the message of Jesus, begins with repentance. Christianity calls upon you to change. Our core prayer given to us by Jesus, the Lord's Prayer,
How long is this?
demands that we forgive other people, but preceding that is a request for our forgiveness. In other words, forgive us our sins, meditate on what we've done wrong, how we've fallen short, and then it becomes possible to forgive other people.
Fantastic.
That is a call to change our hearts from Jesus, and that is the only way forward.
Couldn't agree more. And I will say this, like, I am on this journey to figure out what happened on that day. I'm not going to stop unless Erica Kirk asks me to stop, as I have said, or my father, or my husband asks me to stop, because truth matters. And I think it is amazing that Erica found it in her heart to forgive. But it is also my belief that there are more people involved that are in need of forgiveness. Okay. Like I said, a lot more of it I have found out, and I want to be really methodical about releasing information. But this one, they chose the wrong person. They chose the wrong person to take out. Anyways, you guys, before I get to some of your comments, by the way, I think I went off air on Friday and didn't read comments from last week. So I'm going to read some of those and then get into this. Obviously, you guys already know, send me tips@CandaceOwens.com if you have any more information that you'd like to share with me. First, I want to tell you guys about Nimi Skincare, because I know a lot of you guys ask me what I use to keep my skin looking healthy and glowing, and the answer is simple. It is Nimi Skincare. It's a part of my daily routine, also my nightly routine. If your skin is starting to show signs of aging, like fine lines creeping in, your skin is starting to sag a bit, or it's tired or uneven, or you feel like you're just kind of losing that youthful glow, then you should definitely try Nimi's anti-aging skincare line. Their products have worked wonders on me. Nimi's 3-step anti-aging routine is packed with powerful, clinically backed ingredients that work. This routine restores your skin barrier. It boosts collagen production. It reduces fine lines and wrinkles. It locks in moisture and brightens for a healthy glow. And here's what I love the most. Not only do the products deliver results, but Nimi is proudly American-made. Every formula is crafted right here in the USA, rivaling the best Korean skincare brands in quality while staying true to our values of faith, family, and freedom. Right now, Nimi is giving my listeners 15% off your order if you use the code Candace15 at checkout. But this offer ends soon, so do not wait. Go to NimiSkincare.com today. Stock up on the 3-step anti-aging routine and see the results for yourself. Support a brand that shares our values and take care of your skin at the same time. Visit NimiSkincare.com and use code Candace15. Also remind you guys about American financing, because the cost of everything is still out of control. Many of us are relying on credit cards to cover essentials. If that debt is piling up, then you are not alone. Americans collectively owe over $1 trillion in credit card debt. You might have considered reaching out to my friends at American Financing, but maybe hesitated to do so because you don't want to give up your low mortgage rate. Well, there's good news. They've created the Smart Equity Loan, which is a solution designed to help you take control of your finances without touching your current mortgage. Unlike a HELOC, which can have varied interest rates, the Smart Equity Loan offers fixed rate, which means one predictable monthly payment, giving you peace of mind. This loan allows you to leverage the equity in your home to pay off high interest debt, free up your cash flow, and keep your existing low mortgage rate intact. It only takes a 10-minute phone call to get started. There's no upfront or hidden fees. So call American Financing and start saving now. The number is 800-795-1210. Again, that's 800-795-1210, or visit americanfinancing.net/Owens. That's americanfinancing.net/Owens. Okay, some comments from Friday's episode that I didn't get to. I'm sorry about that. Chris writes, Christ is King. May he guide you, be with you, and keep you safe. You know what? That message was even more appropriate now. Manuela Palacio writes, Candace, is Jack Posobiec trustworthy? I find it odd that a Navy intelligence officer, that the people closest to you betray you often for their own interests. It happened to Jesus. Also, the children that spoke yesterday, she is referring to the children who witnessed the assassination of Charlie Kirk and spoke out about that on the news the next morning on Good Morning America. Also, the children that spoke yesterday sounded highly rehearsed on their quote-unquote experience. Okay, so to the first portion, I can tell you that I know Jack Posobiec. He has always been very solid with me. I mean, always. And Jack Posobiec, by the way, every single time that I have been attacked publicly, particularly over the declaration that Christ is King, it's like a trigger for Jack Posobiec. He goes hard in the paint. If you say you can't say Christ is king. Jack Posobiec wants to go to war immediately, him and his brother, and that's great. So he's like a crusader. And if he was part of some intelligence program that was not allowing any critique of Zionism or whatever it is, he would have definitely made an enemy of me pretty early on. People, really went mask down when I said Christ is king. Post me being fired from the Daily Wire, he completely held the line. I've met his wife. She's absolutely lovely. So I do know that he was a naval intelligence officer. He's never denied that. And if he is an intelligence officer that is still active, then I got to tell you, he's good. I like Jack. And I can only tell you my experience with people. If I uncover something about him, then I'm going to come for his whole life. But I like Jack. Corey Henry writes, and I will say this, I've known him from the beginning of my career, and he has always been solid and supportive. And so, I don't know. I just don't see it. Corey Henry writes, love you. I wish I could give you more. Christ is king. Are you kidding me? That's a huge donation. Guys, you guys have been unbelievable. And I'm very grateful to all of you guys. I really am. Like, it's just, we've had an incredible year with you guys. And I know many of you guys are just finding my content and are new. Go watch the Becoming Brigitte series. I think a lot of people have been hooked on that. It's a really good one. And she's a dude. That's it. Marta writes, Christ is king. I love that is the repeat comment. Thank you, Marta. Devin Nola writes, you are a super sleuth. Thanks for all that you do. Israel has the most to lose from Charlie turning away from them. At this point, I'm waiting for something or someone to prove me wrong on this theory. I get that, what you're saying. I will say this. I would argue that in terms of the free markets, like you go with your product, you say, I'm pro-Israel, I'm running this business, they are losing badly. Badly. There's no question about that. Everyone can see it everywhere. And it's because of how they behave, right? The gaslighting, the threats, the intimidation. We can control your life. We can call and we'll create a firestorm so you won't be able to hit the stage at AmFest. People can see that and they don't like that behavior. So when you do that and then also say that you're the good guys, it doesn't ring true. Now, they definitively have lost the most because clearly people did not buy BB's BS. And the fact that people immediately thought that, and I wasn't the person who said this, but immediately thought that Israel was suspicious really shows you that they have lost all goodwill with the American people. And that's, again, because of what they're doing, their actions in Gaza. So I would agree with you that they've lost a lot since losing Charlie, because he was kind of the last person who said, I am pro-Israel. And he actually was somebody who had a presence across all of these universities. And now, we'll see what happens with the direction that Turning Point takes. But I would say that the students are going to be very reticent to support Israel. Bree writes, how did the rifle get from the roof to the woods? Please help this make sense. Grateful for you, Candace. Keep up the great work. Bree, again, that's from last week. Nobody knows, but I would like to see the tunnel network. Hey, I don't know how you do that. There's probably some radar you can buy to see where the tunnels are. If you're just a student on the campus, if it's legal, obviously, I have no idea if it's legal. Do not do anything illegal. I don't know if you can just buy. All I know is the laser stuff that I use to see if there's a stud in the wall, and that's perfectly legal. I don't know if you can buy radar to look underneath. As you guys could see, I was never going to be an engineer in life. Clearly, I was never going to be an engineer in life, but I do know a little bit about plumbing. My dad was a plumber, and I know that there's got to be a whole network under there if they're supporting a waterfall in that amphitheater style. It's like a whole thing. They have a whole thing on their website on UVU about how the irrigation is maintained and who's in charge of it. And I would like people to look into that. Enough said. All right, let's get into some comments from today. Marzi, thank you for that donation. Marzi writes, dark forces want us to fight amongst each other. We need to come together and fight this evil. Yes, we did this left and right, forcing the FBI's hand and saying, okay, maybe these messages didn't happen. Marzi continues, Netanyahu is using Charlie's death to distract us from the ongoing genocide in Gaza. I would say if that was his plan, it ain't working. This person writes, the internet is back in Palestine and people are speaking out. Yep. And I have been somebody that has spoken out, and it came at great risk. And I am very happy that I did. I have no regrets. I was happy to be canceled from anything to say what I felt in my heart to be true. And that is also the story, the lessons of the story of Christ. You have to tell the truth. You have to accept the punishment And Christ will get you through it. And Christ got my family through last year. There's no question. Hurricane Ian writes, oh, hurricane, but spelled hurricane. What happened to the screwdriver? They said they found it on the roof, even though you don't use a screwdriver to take that rifle apart. No way. I didn't even realize that. Sorry if you've talked about this. I have not. I don't think so. I've watched all your videos, been meaning to ask you. I just haven't been able to catch you live. I didn't know that. I did not know that you don't even use a screwdriver to take that apart. They're doing their best, okay? They're doing their best to come up with a story that works, and none of them do. Whitney writes, something about Dr. Frank Turek isn't sitting right with me. Unsure if he's having some unfounded guilt about not doing more, and that's making him seem suspicious or whatnot, but I cannot shake the unsettling feeling in my gut regarding him. God bless and protect you. Yeah, I mean, I thought his speech was not the direction that I would have gone on had I have been invited to speak. I am not saying, to like, he's guilty about something, but I am saying that like a lot of people had that feeling having watched his speech. And of course, I think he was a Marine in the past before. I don't know. I really don't know what to say about that. He gave the speech that he wanted to give, and nothing in my research has come up about Frank Turek. So I'm just reading your comment there. Wasn't the direction, again, that I would have taken. But I wasn't invited to speak. And as the Daily Mail pointed out, I raged about that. I freaked out and threw my toys out of the pram. Payne Revere writes, why didn't the local police department treat it like it was a crime scene? 2, on what basis is the FBI involved? That's a good point. 3, Intel recruits heavily from the LDS. That is a fact, Latter-day Saints, Church of Latter-day Saints. And apparently they recruit from that particular campus, which I found out, which is interesting. Again, we'll get into all that this week. 4, Tyler looks like a Fed, like Timothy McVeigh. 5, Flechette. Yeah, I think we're looking for a totally different weapon. That's where I'm at. 6, Kibono. 7, it's telling if they make him a memorial like JFK. Look, I think by the time we're done investigating this, we're going to have a lot of questions about who had the audacity to honor him last night. I think so. I'm just feeling it. If I had to make a guess, that would be my guess. Working for Aliens Rights, I have been a victim of predators and creeps all my life in Canada. The evil, rich, elite perverts run the world, and they are too powerful. The only person who can protect me from them is God. When I go to heaven, God bless everyone. Heaven will save us, indeed. Rosa Marie Martinez writes, on the Charlie Kirk show last week, Andrew said someone powerful called Erica and asked how much she knows, and she said, I know everything. If that wasn't relevant, Andrew wouldn't have said it. What does it mean? I think she knows everything. She's his wife. What is a wife? Everything she said on stage yesterday. A confidant. Every secret that the world is not meant to know about Charlie Kirk. She knows about Charlie Kirk. Who was stressing him out? Why did you lay your head next to your wife or your husband? My husband knows everything there is to know about me. And so, yeah, there's no question that she knows everything. I saw people that were going, Erica Kirk is going on, I think, Alex Clark's show. And they were tweeting it at me. I think it was Laura Loomer. She's totally wacky. Oh, you'll see what? I don't lie for this reason, okay? I don't lie about anything. So I'm happy she's going to speak about the rumors that Bibi Netanyahu offered him a boatload of money. I didn't say 150 million was offered because I don't know the exact amount Bibi offered him. I said 150 million dollars. I was told Bibi gave for Operation Mocking Pastor. Remember when all the pastors one weekend got up on stage and were like, Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens? That is what I was told, that was $150 million went into that. But I definitively made the statement that Bibi Netanyahu offered Charlie Kirk a boatload of money and he rejected it. So she will respond to that. I said that Catholics were excited, hopeful about Charlie. I don't know why that caused so much people to be upset. Like, what is wrong? Like, we are Christians. We should be, no matter what, defending one another. He obviously didn't convert, but also the nastiness towards Catholics just needs to stop, point blank. I mean, Erica Kirk was raised in a Catholic family, so that was a strange thing to have people react so crazy. I don't lie, because I always know that eventually daylight comes in and things get exposed. And so I'm excited to hear her speak about the pressure that he was under, as was alluded to by Alex Clark, to speak about whether or not he was offered more money, whether he lost money, which he did. I was told that individual was Bob Shulman, as I said last week, that took away millions of dollars from Turning Point, wanted his name taken off the building, and then changed his mind, did a 180 when Charlie died. I mean, there was more than just him, obviously, but he was getting pressure from donors. I mean, I think he said it on his show. So, yeah, that is daylight is always the best disinfectant. Anyways, you guys, thank you for all the support. We're going to have an incredible week. More stuff to reveal to you. If you want to support the show, if you want to go to prison, you can go to CandaceOwens.com and buy a CIA parody shirt because you're going with me. I'm not going alone. I'll do it. I'll do hood rat stuff, but I want to do it with my friends. So if you buy it, then I'm going to report you to Laura Loomer, who will report you to the CIA. And I'll see you guys in prison tomorrow.
Hello, hello. Hey, Nicole, thanks for being here. I am done tournament for today. I'm coming off a cold. I was sick all weekend. So I consider this a success. Thanks for being here. I'm gonna sign off. I'm gonna raid somebody. Maybe. It's like 4:10 p.m. here where I am. It's like 4 a.m. in North America. 1 a.m. in California. Thanks for being here. We're gonna flex to end the stream as we always do. Thanks for being here, Nicole. Thanks for being you. I follow every follower, so if you follow me, I'll follow you. Okay. We're gonna raid somebody. Oh no, the stream dropped. Oh no. Maybe raid somebody. Thank you.